Is there a motion to come out of executive session, please? Councilman Woltz came out.
Second, Madam Mayor.
And Councilwoman Price made the second. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. We will adjourn until the regular meeting starts in
5 minutes.
2 minutes. September 8th meeting of the Aiken City Council. If you're inclined, please rise for the invocation followed by the pledge. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, send down upon those who hold office in the city of Aiken the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people. In your name we pray. Amen. Chief, would you lead us in the pledge?
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before the meeting begins, I will review the guidelines for this meeting. Meetings are public forums in which many opinions are expressed, and the business of the city must be conducted. As such, disciplined, honorable, and professional decorum is paramount. Courteous and respectful communication is required. There should be no disruptions from the floor while council members or members of the public are speaking. Anyone wishing to speak must be recognized so that we can retain order as we conduct the business of the city, and all comments can be put into the public record. During public hearings, all questions and statements from the public shall be directed to the chair. If you wish to speak, raise your hand and I will recognize you. Please approach the podium and state your name and address. In order to allow an opportunity for everyone who wishes to address council, speakers should limit their comments to the subjects being discussed. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes to address an issue and may only address an issue once unless questions from council are posed to the speaker. During the non-agenda public comment section, each speaker has 3 minutes and can only speak once. We now move to additions and deletions to the agenda. I recognize Mayor Pro Tem Ed Girardeau for this agenda item.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Big crowd. Why y'all here?
Good.
We'll find out shortly, I'm sure. There are no additions or deletions to the agenda for tonight, so I move that as a motion as it is written.
Thank you. Do I have a second, please?
I second.
Councilwoman Diggs, second the motion. All those in favor? Thank you. It's unanimous. The minutes were provided to council for review prior to the meeting. Is there a motion for approval of the minutes?
I so move, Madam Mayor.
Councilwoman Broll made the motion. And a second from
Second, Madam Mayor.
Councilwoman Price. Any comments or changes? All those in favor? Thank you. We have one presentation tonight, which is a presentation of a proclamation for Constitution Week. Councilwoman Broll, please read the proclamation to the record.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be happy to. Whereas the United States Constitution secures the blessings of liberty and justice for all Americans, and whereas September 17th, 2025 marks the 238th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate it, and whereas learning about the principles of the Constitution allows us to reflect on the rights and privileges of citizenship. Now, therefore, I, Teddy Milner, Mayor of the City of Aiken, and the City Council do hereby designate September 17th, 2025 as Constitution Day, and September 17th through 23rd, 2025 as Constitution Week in Aiken, and to encourage all citizens of the City of Aiken to renew and deepen their appreciation for the unique and precious heritage passed on to us by our founding fathers through the United States Constitution.
Thank you. Can we have these members come up of the following groups? The William Stroud Children of the American Revolution Society, Esther Marion Chapter Daughters of the American Revolution, Henry Middleton Daughters of the American Revolution Chapter, Trenton Daughters of the American Revolution Chapter, and Henry Lawrence Chapter Sons of the American Revolution. Thank you.
Go give it to him.
Thank you. Okay, are you all Stroud?
These are children.
Okay.
This is Henry Middleton.
All right.
How are you?
Lexington High School.
All right, let's get you all in groups, and then we'll move to the side so we can. You all want to come up and be with Mayor?
You're going one side.
You sit right there in front of me, sweetheart. There we go. How's that? Is that good?
It doesn't mean that I.
Everybody got them? All right? One more. Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Is that Hester?
Marion.
It's pretty.
No, wait a minute, one more.
One more.
Thank
Thank you, Teddy. Thank you. How are you?
Sorry, guys, you had to do us. Can I sit, stand on this side?
Yeah, you certainly. Get in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Mayor and I on the end.
Okay, and then, thank you.
Two days in a row.
I believe they have a presentation for us, Madam Mayor.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. He goes to school in Lexington.
Madam City Mayor and City Council members, I'm Wolverines, president of the William Stroud Society, Children of the American Revolution. With the members of the CAR are the Daughters of the American Revolution from the Esther Marion chapter, the Henry Middleton chapter, and the Trenton chapter. Also with us are members of the Henry Lawrence chapter, Sons of the American Revolution. We wish to thank you for proclaiming the week of September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week in Aiken, South Carolina. Within this coming year, our country will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. That document declared that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states. While the Articles of Confederation served as the foundation of our initial government, the Constitution replaced the Articles in 1789. The Constitution has codified our rights and has served as the backbone of our governmental law for these 236 years. It also serves as a model for other countries striving to become governments with the rule of law as their goal. The Constitution Week proclamation reaffirms the critical importance of our Constitution. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Before we have our public comment, I'd like to acknowledge Senator Tom Young and Representative Charlie Hartz. Thank you for being present. We will now open the floor to public comments on non-agenda items. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker and for a total of 30 minutes. Yes, sir, in the back. Good evening.
Madam Mayor, honorable council members, and fellow community members, my name is Logan Ford, and I live at 37 Old Barnwell Road, and I rise tonight in strong support of Arbor Ridge. While I'm not in the proximity of this proposed project,
All right, whoa.
That item is on the agenda. This session is for non-agenda items.
Sorry.
Okay, very well.
Do I have anyone else would like to speak non-agenda items? Jacob?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council, Jacob Ellis. While we were all out and about this weekend enjoying Aiken's many great festivities, the City Amateur Golf Tournament, Aiken's Macon, the water crisis was still going on. I got home and checked my Facebook and received numerous messages that people are still experiencing brown water no matter how much long they run it and everything. And as my time out and about over the weekend, I came across a newspaper clipping from the Highland Park Hotel. I can't decide if it was from the late 1800s or the early 1900s, but it says, and I quote, "A high-class winter resort accommodating up to 300 people, driest climate east of the Rockies, plenty of sunshine, and the purest water." The purest water. That was before we had any of our up-to-date equipment, science, pipes, or anything. And they were advertising the purest water in Aiken to get people to come and stay here. We need to get back to those standards soon, or rather than later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I would like to say we received, I saw some comments as well, but we received no one contacted the city about discolored water. And as we've said since this has begun, please contact us so we can address it. I wish we could read minds, but we can't. And we've received no comments from folks. And I hope you shared with them they needed to phone the city. That would be helpful, but no one contacted us. I think we got one comment or one call last week about discolored water. So, thank you.
Anyone else speaking? Yes, over there. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Susan Harrison. I am with Eyes on Aiken. I just wanted to personally thank the city council for coming out to Paces Runs today to just witness what the residents are going through. I mean, we know the situation, we know the issues, and I just thank you all for taking the time out of your day to come out and personally address some of the residents. You know, I'm not personally a resident, but to see the council come out during the day just to address it, I just want to personally thank you all.
Susan, if you will give me a few seconds. I learned some things about you today that I didn't know. You carry a wealth of information, but not only that, you speak truth to the real cases. I did not know that you had that wealth of knowledge. I'd like to have more conversation with you. So I look forward to communicating with you.
Because this is a fight that I've been battling for over 10 years. So,
I gathered that.
yeah,
Thank you.
so,
Thank you.
anytime.
Thank you.
Miss Susan, thank you for being there for the residents too, and
Yeah.
being there today to.
Well, I was there for everybody.
You were,
Yeah.
you were.
Right.
It was good to see you there.
Good evening, Mr. Rollins.
Madam Chairman and council members, my name is Roger Rollins. I live at 1651 Banksmill Road here in Aiken. I want to read you a scripture from the Bible. 1 Timothy 2:1-2 says, I urge them, first of all, that petitions, prayers, intercessions, thanksgiving be made for all people, for kings and all those in authority, that we may live in peaceful and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. I'm going to pray for you all. Heavenly Father, you are a God of mercy and grace as well as righteousness and holiness. I thank you for our Aiken City Council members, men and women who take up their time to work toward making Aiken a great and a good place in which to work and live. I ask that you give them wisdom as they deal with the issues, both little and big, affecting Aiken. I ask that you protect them and their families from harm of any kind. Help us, all of us, the citizens of Aiken, to pray for and support our elected and appointed officials. Help us all to remember that we become great when we become good. Amen. God bless you all. Thank you in
Amen.
Jesus' name.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. We needed that, Roger. That was right on time. Thank you so much.
That was good.
Good evening.
Council, Mayor, I'm Sam Erb. I live at Dibble Road here in Aiken. Again, I'm just here to, am I that short? I guess so, yeah. I'm here again to remind y'all about our design charrette that'll be held Tuesday, the 16th, and Wednesday, the 17th at the mill for our feasibility study. It's going to be on the block containing Marlboro, Orangeburg, Richland, and Barnwell. So I know y'all have been invited, but I'm definitely inviting the public to attend, to come at the mill on the 16th. That's between 3 and 5, and Wednesday the 17th between 3 and 4 for the results. Do you have any questions or anything?
And you're already partnering with the group
That is correct.
that's working on
That's
that?
doing the Moser group from Buford. Yeah,
Sam,
that's doing the Jackson Petroleum. Yes, okay.
the one on the 16th is a little different than the one on the 17th, isn't it?
That's correct. It's actually started on the 15th for some city folks and everything. Tuesday will definitely be open to the public to listen to ideas and what they have, to offer. And then the 17th will be the final presentation of what they come up with. And then hopefully, out of that information, they can put that together and hopefully move forward. So, be a big thing. I have talked to neighbors. I'm doing Katie's footwork for her, and I've had some positive feedback. So
That's
thank
good.
y'all.
That's good. Thank you.
Sam. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you. We will now move to approval of the consent agenda. Mr. Biedenbow, will you please read the title of the ordinance into the record?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The consent agenda consists of an ordinance to annex property located at 2912 Catawba Street and to zone the same residential single-family RS-15.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve that?
So moved, Mayor.
That's Councilwoman Gregory. Made the motion, and a second from Councilman Waltz. Thank you. Since the consent agenda does not have comment, we will go straight to a vote. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you.
It's okay.
We now have approval and discussion of appointees to various city boards, committees, and commissions. Mr. Biedenbow.
Thank you. We have the following. The reappointment of Lori Comshaw to the Recreation Commission, Kathy Heath to the Senior Commission, and Wendy Hurst to the Arts Commission.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept these nominations?
So moved.
Councilman Girardeau.
Second, Mayor.
Second from Councilwoman Gregory. Comments from the public? Comments from council? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Are there any nominations to consider for our next meeting? I have two. One is for the General Aviation Commission. I'd like to reappoint Royal Robbins to that commission, and his term expired September 1st, 2025. And I'd like to reappoint Graham Hall to the Recreation Commission. His term expired September 1st, 2025. Thank you. We now move to new business. We have two items tonight, and the first item is first reading and public hearing of an ordinance to amend the zoning of property located on Dykes Road from office to transitional tiny home and approve a concept plan. Mr. Biedenbow.
Thank you. It is an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending the zoning of real estate located on Dykes Road from Office O to transitional tiny home TTH, and approve the proposed concept plan. The applicant is requesting rezoning and concept plan for this transitional housing development on Dykes Road. It is approximately 4.1 acres and is composed of one landlocked parcel and a portion of another parcel, which has frontage on Dykes Road. The property is zoned O office, and it has to the south Dykes Road, which is parallel to Richland Avenue West, unincorporated residents to the south. To the west are unincorporated residents in Aiken County that are zoned RUD, rural development, and to the east is an unincorporated single-family residence and an unincorporated undeveloped parcel, both of which are zoned RUD by Aiken County. The property in question is currently owned by the Aiken County Commission on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. This tiny home district, transitional tiny home district, is intended to provide for uses that primarily provide meeting areas for religious activities, treatment of terminally ill or those with psychiatric, alcohol, or drug problems, and transient or long-term housing related to social service programs, which includes these dwelling units under 450 square feet. The property in question is currently undeveloped and heavily wooded. The concept plan depicts single and double sleeping units, a 30-foot by 45-foot community building with picnic and parking areas. The number of total proposed sleeping units is 39, which will be single-story conventional stick-built on concrete footers with a stem wall or slab on grade. The single bedroom units will have 160 square feet of heated floor space. The 2-bedroom units would have 320 square feet. Exterior materials will be hardy plank siding and trim. There will be small 4-foot by 8-foot entry porches made of unfinished pressure-treated pine. The community building will provide laundry services, laundry facilities, 2 offices, bathroom facilities, and a large meeting room in 1,350 square feet. The zoning ordinance requires 1 parking space per tiny home, so a minimum of 39 parking spaces should be planned for all phases. A lesser number of spaces may be provided if the planning director views extra spaces as unnecessary. A single driveway is proposed for the development, which would utilize an access easement from Dykes Road. A portion of the easement is currently the driveway serving the homes on tax parcel number 08708100001. The easement would be upgraded to commercial driveway access standards to serve the new development. There will be a 20-foot undisturbed natural or landscape buffer along property lines shared with residential uses and residential zoning designations. The buffer is 10 feet along commercial zone areas. A 25-foot planting strip would be required along the Dykes Road frontage. A tree survey will be required for civil plan review. A traffic impact study is not required since peak hour trips are expected to be short of the peak hour trip threshold. The developer will be responsible for water and sanitary sewer main extensions and all associated easements necessary to deliver service to the proposed development. Satellite utility systems within the property are anticipated with 1 master meter. All public water and sanitary sewer infrastructure shall conform to City of Aiken standards. All stormwater infrastructure will remain private. The planning staff reviewed compliance of the project with the transitional tiny home zoning criteria regarding common open space and programmed recreation areas. The narrative denotes the open areas will total 59% of the buildable area. One of the open space standards prohibits sitting common area element on slopes greater than 10%. The property has some areas with steep topography, so some grading will be needed to meet the standard. Required building separation for the proposed 1-story buildings is 15 feet. A couple of single sleeping units are within 10 feet of double sleeping units on the concept plan. Structures are to be set back 30 feet from residential uses or zones and 20 feet from commercial zone properties. A concept plan revision is needed to ensure the required 30-foot setbacks are being met along property lines shared with planned residential PR and county rural development RUD zone properties. The Planning Commission reviewed this request for rezoning 4.1 acres on Dykes Road from O Office to TTH Transitional Tiny Home and the proposed concept plan for a transitional housing development at their April 15th, 2025 meeting. After review, the Planning Commission voted 5-2 with two commissioners opposed to recommend to City Council approval of the rezoning request with the following conditions. First, that the site and landscape plan comply with the buffer, landscaping, and tree preservation requirements of the zoning ordinance. 2, that all buildings meet the standard separation requirements of the zoning ordinance. 3, that all buildings meet the building setback requirements of the zoning ordinance. 4, that a revised concept plan listing conditions of approval and any changes required by City Council be submitted within 90 days. 5, that the applicant signs an agreement stating the conditions of approval within 90 days. The project has been delayed for several reasons. Typically, once the Planning Commission makes a recommendation to council, it comes to the following city council meeting, but the management plan needed to be developed. A public information session also to provide information was held in early August with well over 100 people in attendance. It was at St. John's Methodist. Should this pass council, the Aiken legislative delegation would need to approve the property transaction. I also want to mention one of the items that has come up too is we've heard from a resident that the annexation of the property in question to the city limits was not legal. The property was annexed in 1994. State law requires appeals of annexations within 90 days, so that statute of limitations expired some time ago, and it is annexed into the city. We do have for council consideration on first reading this ordinance amending the zoning of approximately 4.1 acres on Dykes Road from Office O to Transitional Tiny Home TTH and approval of a concept plan with the conditions recommended by Planning Commission. Madam Mayor and Council.
Thank you so much. Do we have a motion to amend the zoning for the ordinance?
So moved.
I'm sorry.
I'm second. This is in my district, so I will second that motion.
Councilman Girardeau made the motion and Councilwoman Price seconded the motion. Any comments from the public? Yes, sir. Mr. Kirk. Yes.
Hey, while Kirk is coming up, I do want to have a housekeeping announcement. I've been told by public safety that we have reached the maximum capacity in the room, but I see thank you, -2. But we ask, we do have an overflow set up, so if you just want to make comments and then leave and not sit around to see how the vote turns out, please take that into consideration because there may be others that are in the overflow area that would like to come in and make comment. Do we have anybody in overflow? Okay, right now we don't.
Okay.
But anyway, we are almost at max capacity, but it looks like we're going to be fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kirk.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Kurt Johnson, 114 Brewster Way, Aiken. I am the street minister of Aiken, and I'm definitely for this with conditions that we vet these people. And that's one of the big things that we are in favor of, is vetting these people before they become somebody and wrecking up a house or wrecking up the whole project in itself. So we're looking at that. But I deal with the people on the streets every day. There's over 600 of them. And we don't have the issues that people think. Yes, we've always got one or two bad apples that are going to do something stupid. And the police are there and they take care of the situation. But most of these people, they are downtrodden and they're just hurting. And they're on drugs, they're on alcohol, they've got mental issues. We all know that. But with the services that we have right there, it's going to make it a little bit better for them. I understand that people that live there, they never expected when they bought their house to have this right in their backyard. But these people are not going, there's going to be a security fence around this place. It's not going, it's going to have a guard. It's going to be protected, both sides, the people inside and the people outside. It gives them an opportunity to get back on their feet and to become that person in this community that might be the next mayor. We don't know, but it's going to be somebody that can help other people. So that's about all I got to say. I mean, I'm definitely for it. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir. You'll be next, afterwards.
Hello, Mayor Miller and members of council. My name is Kevin Pethick, and I'm a partner at the law firm of Austin and Pethick, located in the city of Aiken at 115 Hearthstone Drive. My firm is providing pro bono legal services for the Arbor Ridge project. I became particularly interested in helping the homeless in Aiken when I started working as a volunteer for New Spring Church, providing food, clothing, and prayer on Saturday mornings once a month. And this was to the people, typically about maybe 40 to 50 per hotel in 3 of the hotels that are there along Richland Avenue. And that was every time we'd show up, there'd be at least 40 to 50 homeless that, for the most part, didn't stay there daily, but they would come for a few days to get a shower, clean up, and then they'd be about to other campsites or things of that nature. My client's a nonprofit organization called Aiken County Homeless Housing, and they're proposing to develop a transitional housing project for Aiken's homeless population across Richland Avenue at the location shown here. I'd just like to distinguish transitional housing from what this community needs. We need affordable housing for permanent housing, which we've worked on a couple of those projects. We need temporary housing, which I believe Salvation Army has. But this is transitional housing that's designed for 1 year to 2 years to get somebody from homelessness to being a permanent homeowner by receiving wraparound services that are provided. The city of Aiken is experiencing a significant increase in homelessness in recent years for various reasons, but most significantly because the cost of housing and food is outpacing wage increases. People who've had homes for many years are finding themselves homeless. Leslie and I have had many conversations about folks that we know that have been working and suddenly have had a rent go from $800 to $1,400, and they can't afford that. That's not even in the cards. And so there's so many that are closer to homelessness than you even realize. A significant portion of Aiken's homeless population congregates in what I would call the homeless corridor that runs along Richland Avenue between downtown and the Walmart. They walk along Richland Avenue and the parallel railroad tracks so that they can utilize the services of the many businesses along that corridor, the grocery stores, convenience stores, the hospital, the Christ Central, and so many of them actually work and drive or work in that area, but they don't drive, and so they need proximity to the place that they do work in order to maintain their jobs. At night, they seek shelter in the immediate areas. If they can afford a hotel, they'll grab a hotel for the night, but often they'll camp in the woods near the railroad track or near the businesses in the woods in the residential areas. I've had a lot of people respond to me with comments that, hey, I don't want this in my backyard and you wouldn't want it in your backyard. But the truth of the matter is that they have been in this location for a long time and they're there to stay for a long time. They're not going to go anywhere else because they need the resources that are right there along that corridor. And so this proposal is to get them out of your backyard and to give them a home over their heads so that they can have dignity and they can have their own yard. And so that is what we're attempting to do here, is to actually get them out. And quite honestly, if you look at the location where it is, a lot of them are more down in some of the woods and areas over here, but we're taking them, they'd be across the street and next to the Aiken Barnwell Center, where they'd be able to receive some services for those that have any type of need of those services. Organizations like ACTS and Salvation Army and many others are providing very important services like food, clothing, temporary shelter, which provides needed services to the homeless population for a time of crisis. But many of those services are not designated to eliminate homelessness, and that's what a transitional housing project is designed to do. It's designed to take them out of the temporary or out of that situation and put them in a permanent home. The best news of all is that this project is not being funded with your city tax dollars. Instead, it's being funded through the charitable donations and on the backs of many churches here who have already committed to support and build homes in this project. But the last thing I'd like to say is that this concept of providing shelter and care for those in need it's a fundamental tenet of our Christian beliefs. In Matthew 25, verse 40, Jesus says, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." This project is a tangible way to live into our scriptural calling and care for our brothers and sisters in need. I'm calling on my brothers and sisters in the city of Aiken to show the world that we are good Samaritans, and for our members of City Council to vote in favor of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. The lady. Good evening.
Madam Mayor, City Council members, I'm Judy Justice. I live at 312 Magnolia Lake Court, Aiken. My question, I guess, to come before you vote on this evening is what precedence this is set for Aiken, for the city of Aiken in allowing tiny homes. Are we going to have these in other neighborhoods? Is this our new zoning now to go to these? They look beautiful in all the magazines, and you can fix them up real nice and pretty. But are we going to have those in every neighborhood now in Aiken? And that's a real concern that I have, that I don't think that's the kind of housing that we want in our neighborhoods. This is a project that I think has remarkable future for our homeless community in Aiken. We have 250 students right now who live in cars and do not have shelter at night, who attend Aiken County schools. It's a travesty that we think that 39 tiny homes is going to make a huge difference in the homeless in Aiken. I think we can do better than that. And I think approving this tonight is very short-sighted. I would like to see what the Salvation Army's survey that they have done. They've been working on this. They've got a plan that they would like to put forward. And I would like to see us really study what we need to do and go off and offer these people the right resources. These little houses, yes, it's a start. Oh, yes. But they're still going to be in the woods. They're still going to be living in their cars. We don't have the right level of HUD that is affordable in Aiken for people. And I'm sorry, I just don't see this as addressing the issue at hand. The tiny homes are not the right answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir. No. Good evening.
Hello. My name is Joel Johnson. I have a property at 3814 Dykes Road. It's the only place here on this map that is on Dykes Road that is surrounded by this little area. I don't know how many people in Dykes Road are behind me. If they raise their hand, the city council considers probably only about 10 families that live up on that road. Mm-hmm. I kept wondering why I was being asked to talk about the zoning here when I don't have any representation on the city council. I'm in the county. What am I supposed to do? And I kept looking at the map studies and the maps and the maps, and I found out in 1993 that the city planner said that the land was not contiguous to the city limits. That's never changed. It's never changed. The first zoning reading, Ms. Price voted for it. Ms. Sarah was here when that happened. And you guys somehow managed to allow that no contiguous land into the official reading that went up to the signed by the state, to the state highway department, all these people that said it was contiguous. And it can't be. There's no way. It's not even contiguous now. So the right-of-way can't be passed. The city of Allendale in South Carolina had a piece of land that was annexed by them to take in a neighborhood far away. And they kept relying on deceit, that somehow a letter that the Forest Service had written years before had said they had permission to take upon this 100% or 75% annexation. And they found out that that letter was for a different piece of property and nothing to do with this. And so they had to go de-annex that whole thing and then start all off afresh and they couldn't do it. We had the same thing I found out in Generations Park. You know, how did that happen? How did we send something up there and get annexed when it wasn't even contiguous to the city limits? I think you had to go in there and de-annex and come back again because the state highway department got involved and said, that is not what you're allowed to do. When I look at the little spot in Dykes Road that concerns me is the fact that when I look at the maps, I'm looking at it's not contiguous, well then the next thing that happens is that you went and annexed the land across the street using the fact that the land was contiguous in the first place. And so the area up there is now a subdivision being built. And I still couldn't look at the map there of the city limits, and I'm still trying to figure out how you annexed to Parker's gas station, which is not contiguous to the city limits. It's crossed the right of way. So unless there's something that I don't understand completely about what's happening here, but it doesn't seem that the 90-day period of concern makes sense when after many years the Supreme Court said that if a party can demonstrate that an annexing body engaged in nefarious conduct has standing to challenge the annexation. This is why we're here. I don't want the tiny homes by my house, and I don't mind if you did it the right way and I could argue with it and you guys would be here to represent me, but you can't. This county's not even here to represent me or the people there. I'm open to questions. Do the right thing.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. Good evening.
I'm Reverend Lisa Ann Wheeler, and I am on the board of directors for Aiken County Homeless Housing, and I'm actually speaking for George Clare. He wrote a letter. He's not able to be here this evening, so I am reading for him. Oh, sure. Is that better? His heart is with you and with our homeless citizens who can aptly be called the least of those among us. The purpose of our project, Arbor Ridge, is to provide carefully selected homeless individuals and families a pathway to self-sufficient and productive life. A hand up, not a hand out. Participants living at Arbor Ridge, supported by a case manager, will develop a personal implementation plan to guide and drive their progress. Effective security measures will be implemented to protect Arbor Ridge facilities and residents and our neighbors. Lastly, development in 3 phases assures that there is opportunity to adjust facilities and programs to best serve residents in Aiken in general. Arbor Ridge will provide no services, none, to people other than those residents in the tiny homes. No food, no clothes, no blankets, no tents, no overnight accommodations, no classes, no employment, not even religious services. It will not attract homeless who are not residents of the community. George said, I want to spend the rest of my time talking about things that we know, things all of us know or should know. We know that all of us, every single person here tonight, indeed every resident of Aiken, wishes that there would be no more homeless individuals or especially no more homeless families in Aiken or Aiken County. Our reasons for holding that universal wish might be different from one person to the next, but that shouldn't keep us from working together to bring the community closer to achieving our common goal. We know that some of our citizens see more than their fair share of homeless present in their neighborhoods. We also know why that's the case. It's because of the facilities and services in their neighborhoods, or that their neighborhoods are on the pathway between facilities and services where homeless citizens get what they need to survive. We know that regardless of where Arbor Ridge is located, the facilities and services currently attracting our homeless citizens will stay where they are at. And as a result, homeless presence in all neighborhoods is likely to increase 100% in the next 5 years. Again, that's regardless of if or where Arbor Ridge is located. We know that there is only one way to reduce the presence of homeless citizens in any neighborhood of Aiken, and that's to reduce the overall number of Aiken's homeless citizens. We know that the most likely way for that to happen is through programs referred to as transition programs. that help individuals and families to address issues causing their homelessness and to secure jobs providing adequate income so they can afford the housing that Aiken has to offer. That's giving the homeless a hand up and not a handout. That's why earlier this year, this council wisely passed the zoning ordinance that allows use of tiny homes like those proposed in Arbor Ridge, specifically for transitional housing. We know that for all of us to seriously move toward our goal of reducing Aiken's homeless population anytime soon, we need Arbor Ridge to be very effective in providing transition services. We know that only a small fraction of our homeless own and operate reliable vehicles, so it's very important that Arbor Ridge be located within walking distance of most of the services required for transition. Although significant mental illness among the homeless is not as prevalent as common knowledge claims, living on the street is insecure and stressful, often leading to conditions that require mental health and substance abuse treatment and counseling. Thus, it's obvious that locating Arbor Ridge in close proximity to Aiken Barnwell Mental Health and Aiken Center, among other services, is essential for effective execution of our transition programs and reduction in the homeless population. Lastly, we know that the Aiken Transition Management Board recognizes their special obligation to residents and property owners in the Dykes Road neighborhood. They plan to protect the neighbors by several means, including carefully vetting applicants prior to acceptance into the program, establishing participant rules addressing interaction with neighbors, providing 24/7 security measures, assigning neighborhood cleanup as a routine chore for program participants.
Thank you. It's
Thank
5
you.
minutes. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Hello, Madam Mayor and council members. Hello, Aiken community residents. My name is Nikita Haniff. I live at 846 Cedar Road in Aiken. For the last 4 years, I have led the homeless and in-need outreach at New Spring Church. I have served, sat with, spoken with, cried with, and worked with our area's homeless. I come to you not as someone with just an opinion, but actual experience with our city's homeless. I ask that you please just consider heeding my words with an open mind. We're gathered here tonight not to discuss tiny brick and mortar buildings, but something far deeper, something that speaks to the very heart of who we are as a community, the call to provide homes, even the smallest of homes, for those in Aiken who are living without one. Too often, our neighbors without homes are pushed to the margins. They are unseen, unheard, treated as a problem to be managed, an eyesore to be removed. But behind every weary face on the street in Aiken, there's a story. These are not statistics, these are people. A veteran who risked everything for our freedom and came home to face the unforgiving battlefield of PTSD. A mother who fled domestic violence with her children and had nowhere safe to go. A father who lost his job during COVID and never regained his footing. A young teen crushed by untreated mental illness left to the streets. These men, women, and children are not them. They are us. They are sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers. They are part of a family, a part of our town, a part of our humanity. To look away is to deny our shared responsibility. A tiny home may seem small in size, but it is vast in its meaning. It is dignity, it is hope, it is safety. It is the difference between sleeping in fear or sleeping in peace. It is the chance to look for work without the weight of wondering where to lay one's head at night. It is the soil where healing can take root, where broken spirits can begin to mend. Supporting tiny homes is not charity, it is justice. It is mercy in action. It is saying you matter, you belong, your life has value. We are not, These tiny homes are a foundation for someone to rise again, to reconnect with family, to contribute once more to the very community that often turned them away in their darkest hour of need. And let us be honest, Aiken is not measured by how it treats its most successful members. It is measured by how it treats its most vulnerable. Love is not weakness. Compassion is not a burden. Empathy is not an inconvenience. These are, in fact, the greatest strengths a person can carry. Somewhere along the way, we as residents in Aiken lost sight of this truth. We have hardened our hearts. We have trained ourselves to look past suffering, to scroll by pain, to excuse away poverty as someone else's fault. When did we begin to value life so little that we could step over a neighbor in need without a second thought? When did we forget that the most basic form of humanity is to care for one another? Aiken, I beg you, let us do better. Let us remember what it means to choose one another, to see those without homes not as a problem, but as our brothers and sisters. Let us not build houses, let us build hope. Let us provide shelter, let us provide belonging. Even if one life is lifted out of despair, even if one child finds safety, even if one veteran finds peace, it is worth everything. One life saved is worth it. Please let us believe that again.
Hello, Mayor, council members. Can you guys hear me? I'm a short person too. My name is Tina Lewandowski. I am a woman in long-term recovery. I have a very unique position in all of this. I was an unhoused person here in Aiken. I lived at those hotels on Richland Avenue. I had the grace and mercy of being an addict. So I had a transitional house that I can go to here in Aiken. That transitional housing has an 85% success rate for people coming out of it. That is unheard of. Because of that transitional housing, I am now a state employee. I work at the Aiken Center. I am a peer support worker, and I work at the Aiken County Detention Center. So I get to help people with substance use disorders find places to live. So I can find them places to live because those programs are in place. But there are people, like this other young lady spoke about, that there's vets. There are children who have aged out of foster care. There are women who have escaped from domestic violence, and they don't have any place to go. When they get trespassed, they're in the jail for 15 days. That is not enough time to get them a plan or to help them to learn how to be active members of society. I am here as living proof that these things work. I am now a taxpayer. I am now an active member in this community, and I'm sitting here speaking in front of you fine people today. These things can work, and I just hope that you give it a chance and that you vote to make Aiken a better place and to have them be active members of this community. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Madam Mayor, distinguished members of the council, Mr. City Manager, this is a privilege. I want to thank you all. I want to thank Chief and his folks for keeping his officers for keeping us safe. This is true America happening here. I'm going to take a different course.
Can we get your name, please?
My name's Barry Clayton. I live at 712 Casina Drive on Calumet Hill.
Thank you.
I'm in one of those areas where we're iffy. I think you're selling everything short. You need to think bigger. Why we are here bickering over a piece of land, putting something in the middle of town, basically, I don't get it. I've been doing research on other home, transitional home facilities around the country, Austin, Texas, Salt Lake City, Utah, Austin, Texas, in Louisiana. There's a bunch of them. I don't know if y'all have done research, but they're successful. The reason they're successful is they give their people that are attending, that are part of the program, they give them purpose. I agree with the First Lady who came up here. We're talking about putting something in the middle of town where we know we have a problem. We're not going to solve the problem. We need to think bigger. This is a big county. There can be land that is used for this type of facility where it can become a community and not a halfway house. And I think that's where we need to be thinking. I just find we're selling these people short. We're not giving them exactly what they need. All the people that have spoken in favor of this have been extremely articulate, heartfelt. And I agree with everything they say. I was a high school guidance counselor. I've been in education for 38 years. I know what works and doesn't. You need to have purpose. People need to work in those community, in their community. That is where they will value what they have and what they are, the opportunity that they're being given. I'm going to be honest, the marketing of this thing could have been done a whole lot better. This is really hard to say. I hope you don't vote for this, but I hope we find something that is so much better, that really puts Aiken on the map, that really, really makes a difference, and not as a feel-good, this is a wonderful thing. I think what we're doing is we're taking something we hope is going to work, and I'm going to tell you, I don't think it will. To the extent that we want it to. This is a big problem. It needs big efforts. It needs thinking big. And I encourage you to do that. Thank you so much for your service, folks, and I appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Gentleman in the third row, yes.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. My name is Stephen Feldman. I live on Lady Banks Road in Aiken, and I am a board member of ATM, Aiken Transition Management. It will be our job to oversee the operations of Arbor Ridge once construction is completed by ACHH and management of the facility is turned over to us. With all due respect to the gentleman who just spoke, I think it will work. And I think it needs the opportunity. The objective of ATM operations is to manage the facilities and programs that will succeed in transitioning a resident from a life of homelessness to one of productive self-sufficiency. It will be our job to provide affordable, temporary, private, secure, safe, and comfortable housing for chronically homeless singles, couples, and families. We will also provide confidential individual case management to guide and motivate residents to achieve sustainable self-sufficiency within 2 years or less. Our job will be to include the maintenance of Arbor Ridge community in a clean, organized, and peaceful manner. This includes maintaining 24/7 security for the Arbor Ridge community, as well as maintenance of the buildings, grounds, and the surrounding areas. Lastly, it will be our job to establish and maintain good relations with the citizens of Aiken, and particularly with those who reside in close proximity to Arbor Ridge. That's what we intend to do. Our main functions will include the selection of resident participants using a comprehensive list of resident selection guidelines. We will assist residents in adapting to living in a tiny home at Arbor Ridge versus unsheltered living through the development of personalized transition plans with specific goals and schedules. We will assist residents in understanding the rules of behavior and our expectations. We are going to facilitate pleasant and peaceful relations between residents, the ATM staff, and the surrounding community. This council has heard and read about many of the details. Mr. Bedenbaugh read some of those today. I'm not going to repeat them here, but I do want to focus on some of the details regarding how we intend to interact with the surrounding community and our plans to secure the Arbor Ridge facility. This has become top of mind. Many people have commented this on the last couple of weeks. We intend to make Arbor Ridge an attractive, gated residential community, like many here in Aiken, and it is essential for us to protect both the residents and the assets we construct. I would like to stress that there will be no services, including overnight accommodations, offered to those not in the program. To aid in the upkeep of the community, all residents will be required to contribute service to the Arbor Ridge community each week by doing assigned chores intended to maintain the inside and outside areas surrounding our community. This will include picking up roadside litter in and around the Dykes Road location. Further, we intend to budget for and implement a plan to secure the Arbor Ridge premises on a 24/7 basis. This includes the installation and monitoring of security cameras at strategic locations around Arbor Ridge, which will have a view of the tiny homes, the main gate, and the perimeter fencing. Security cameras will be recording 24/7 and will be monitored by an outside security company during the hours our staff is not present. We will, of course, have an eyes-on presence by our staff during normal business hours. During overnight hours, we intend to engage a security company to provide on-site personnel to monitor activities both inside and outside our perimeter. Lastly, the ATM board proposes the formation of a neighborhood advisory council, which will consist of representatives of the ATM board, staff, and residents. In addition, we will invite a group of residents from the neighborhoods surrounding Arbor Ridge and representatives from the Aiken Department of Public Safety to join this council. We propose that regular meetings take place to notify neighbors and city of planned developments at Arbor Ridge and discuss any situations of incidents of concern to the neighborhoods. This concludes my statement regarding the operations of Aiken Transition Management. Thank you for your attention. I await your comments and questions.
Thank you. Mr. Logan. Mr. Logan is first, and then your turn. Thank you.
I do apologize for speaking out of turn earlier. I obviously wasn't listening very well.
Not a problem. Your
Madam
name?
Mayor, honorable council members, and fellow community members, my name is Logan Ford, and I live at 37 Old Barnwell Road, and I do support the Arbor Ridge project. And while I'm not in the proximity of this proposed project, I understand that some neighbors are worried about safety, worried about cleanliness, worried about what it means to have transitional housing nearby. And I think the previous comments before me has hopefully alleviated those fears. But I want to say clearly that I do respect those fears, and they are real, but I believe those fears do not tell the whole story. The people who live at Arbor Ridge are not problems to be managed. They are neighbors hoping for restoration. They are mothers and fathers. They are veterans, sons and daughters, who through hard seasons of life found themselves without a home. And if we give them this support, we don't just give them a chance to change their lives, we strengthen ourselves as a community. And when we think about homelessness, it's easy to see it as an isolated problem, someone without a roof, someone without a bed. We have children who are homeless. But homelessness is never just one problem. It ripples. When someone is forced to sleep outside, it ripples into their health, increasing emergency room visits and straining our hospitals. When people are without shelter, it ripples into public safety, policing, and even our local economy. But when we provide someone with stable transitional housing, that stability ripples into their ability to find and keep a job. It ripples into children who can finally stay in one school all year long. It ripples into reduced strain on our emergency services and fewer calls for crisis response and stronger neighborhoods for us all. An adorable little lady gave me this piece of paper. I hope you all read it. And in the midst of this, it says, promote the general welfare and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves. You see, Arbor Ridge is not just about tiny homes, it's about creating the ripple of dignity, safety, and opportunity. It's about helping people step out of survival mode into a place where they have the opportunity to rebuild their lives. As a minister, I cannot help but think of Jesus' words in Matthew 25:40. And this verse has been used 3 times tonight, so that should speak volume. Whatever you did for one of the least of these, brothers and sisters, you did for me. See, Jesus was often criticized for sitting with the poor, the sick, and the outcast, but he showed us that our measure as a people is not how we treat the powerful, like a young lady behind me said, it's how we treat the vulnerable. Sure, I'm appealing to your Christian values, but for those of you who are not people of faith, I'm appealing to you as human beings. Arbor Ridge is not a threat to our neighborhoods, and there is precedent that we will set for this initiative. And that precedent is that it's an opportunity to live out the value of compassion, a trait I feel defines the character of the city I so love, Aiken, South Carolina. Now, I agree. I also don't know why we're not doing something bigger than this, but we've been talking about this for years. We've been studying this problem for years, and it's time to stop waiting for studies on this, and it's time for action. We need to act now and move forward, because in the end, when we lift up the least of these, we are lifting up the heart of our whole city. Thank you, good evening, and God bless.
Thank you.
Hello, Mayor, City Council. Thank you for listening to all our concerns tonight. My concern is...
Your name, could you give us your name and your address?
Terry Lokey Dennis, 3437 Banks Mill Road. The concern is nobody's speaking up for the residents of Lokey Drive and Dykes Road, Keith Street, and the upper part of Gregg Highway. I put out a petition for the location, not against the project, but the location, due to the fact that these people are working Aikenites. One works for the city, one works for the pharmacy, one has financial business, one is retired from civil service, and one is retired, who is my stepmother, she owned Pat's Restaurant downtown Aiken. I don't know if a lot of you remember Pat's Restaurant downtown Aiken for 18 years. And she has property that is on Lokey Drive. The concern is the property and the resale values of this land. These people have put it's just as important to them about their property and what they work for. The one that works for the city, has 2 small little girls, just bought the house on Dykes Road. The resale value, when people find out that you do have a homeless community and it can be run perfect, it's still going to affect the resale values and the properties in that area. No matter how you look at it, it's just going to affect it. He did answer some questions for the taking over after the coalition has done their part. But one of the concerns also is the location for the safety of up to 60 persons walking on Dykes Road, Lokey Drive, and Highway 1. There are no sidewalks or crosswalks or pedestrian signs. There are 3 have already been killed on Highway 1 in the past couple of years that were told they were homeless. Concern of kids loading and unloading school buses along Dykes Road within a few yards of the projected entrance, small children. And will children be allowed to live there? I know we talked about a lot of the children, but these tiny homes, there's 18 singles and 21 double. There is a lot, the lady spoke about the 250 school kids in Aiken County that live in cars. Their families need something also. Their mothers, fathers, they got kids, they're living in cars, kids are considered homeless. This, to me, doesn't address that. It may in the future. It would be nice if we could look at the families that can't make the bills because the rent went up, groceries are up, and maybe they got injured. There's a case of an injured guy also hurt his back, married, has 2 kids, and he's out on the street. So I think that we need to look at the families and the children. Some of the other questions that haven't been answered. Will sex offenders be allowed? Will animals be permitted? Because, you know, a lot of them have animals. How will we check to see if they're vaccinated? Will the occupants be drug and alcohol tested, and how often? And if they fail, will they be moved out? Hopefully not into the woods. Litter control, he did talk about. The Homeless Coalition stated that the residents will have to live in Aiken County for 2 years. How do they know? How do you know if someone's been in Aiken County? How do we know it's not going to draw people from across the river? How will they ID or legally identify and a required background check, especially if they're ramblers and they move from one place to the other? That's pretty much it, because he talked about the group, the rules, enforcing the rules, but going back to the neighborhood and the property values and people that have worked.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Yes, sir. Then next.
Good evening. My name is Lex Perry, 1526 South Boundary Avenue Southeast. I'm a pastor of Created for Impact Ministries, or C4 Impact for short. Council, you already know what we're doing at C4 Impact. What we talked about is, what we're doing is bridge housing, what we're calling it. It is transitional housing. All the things that we're looking at doing at Arbor Ridge is what we're already doing in the bridge housing, more of a micro level of it. We've repurposed some apartments in order to make housing for people. We need it now. We've talked about it enough. It's been an ongoing conversation. People need homes now. As a matter of fact, let's change the language a little bit here. We're talking about people who are homeless. Aiken is their home. Aiken is their home. They're unsheltered. We're not looking to build a fancy prison. We're building homes for people who are unsheltered. The way a lot of these things have been described is this, that we're assuming that people are criminals, they're this, that, and the other, they're drug addicts, whatever. You know what? We have a lot of people in homes, whether on the south side, north side, or whatever, they're addicted to drugs as well. And they also live in a house. They may be living with family somewhere. So it's not just the folks who are living in these areas now that are unsheltered. We have folks now who are living in homes right now who are still addicts, drug addicts and everything else, and they still go to Aiken Barnwell Mental Health to get transportation by family and so forth. So it's not just the folks who are unsheltered. Let's be really clear about that. We're trying to make sure that the folks in our community that call Aiken home are sheltered. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're doing with the bridge housing. We need more of this. We need to be creative. And as the gentleman already said, we need to think bigger. Yes, we need more of this. We need more creativity. We need more areas. But not just to say, well, just 39 homes is not going to make a difference. I beg to differ. Every single day, we're working with people every single day, walking them through. We've added computers to where we are now so we can help people look for jobs. They need people to walk alongside of them, just like they're talking about in the tiny homes. We need them to know that we care about them. We love them. Aiken is their home. And yes, we can be a beacon of light to the rest of the country by what we do here, by how we treat one another. Instead of those people or those people, it's us. It's us. We got to stop pointing the finger and saying, well, what about them or what about they? Well, what about the folks that are in your neighborhood right now who have these addictions that you don't know? Because it's none of their business. If they need help, they'll have a facility nearby them so they can go to it. That's the point, right? When people come to the bridge housing, I ask them questions about their what's going on with them. What are the symptoms? I see the symptoms, but we don't know what the root cause of the problem is until I sit down and they know that I love them. They know that they can trust me because I'm consistently there with them. That's what they need. If you've been out in the street for 10 years, how many people are you going to trust? Think about it. How many people are you going to trust? If you've been out on the street for 30 days, how many people are you going to trust? They got to know that you can come to you and say, hey, you know what? I need some help. I need a hand up. Most of the people are not looking for a handout. They are looking for a hand up. They need to build some trust. They need to build relationship. The tiny homes for the Arbor Ridge is proposing that. You're saying you're having professionals there that can walk people through this process to help them get stable on their feet. The housing, I think you're talking about setting up a beautiful home for people, a gated community. I don't think it's going to drop property value. People's attitudes are what drop the property value. It's not the builders themselves. It's all about your attitude and the way you look at it, okay? We need to change our hearts and really look and love people. Then, you know what? Property values go up because you know what? I got a beautiful little tiny home community here. All the folks here are going places. They're going to be the next, council person. You don't know. We're talking about like Tina. She's a wonderful example of what we're talking about. And she's serving in our community in a powerful way. I have no idea what she's doing every single day. She's amazing. We need more people like her. She's been through it. She knows what she's doing. She can walk the walk. She talks the talk. That's what we're talking about doing here. Calm down. Listen. I know all of you up here love this community, and I know everybody who's back here loves this community as well. But we really need to look at our hearts. We really need to question really where this fear is coming from, and we need to deal with the root of it. Because God did not give us a spirit of fear, but love, power, and a strong mind, and a sound mind. That's what he gave us. That's what we need to hold on to. And if we do that, we will solve this problem, our homeless problem here in Aiken. We will solve it, and we will be an example to the rest of the state. God bless you.
Thank you. Gentlemen. Yes, sir. He's first, and then you are.
Madam Mayor, honorable council people, my name is Lear Patrick Derrig. I live at 46 Boyd Drive. I live about, depending on how you drive, about 5 to 7 minutes away from this location, the proposed location for the tiny homes. I spent a couple days at Aiken walking around thinking about this issue. I was listening, eavesdropping, listening to people talk about this. I initiated and instigated some conversations about this. And one of the issues I kept hearing about that I thought I would hear addressed more tonight, honestly, was about crime and about the concentration or perceived concentration of crime that bringing all these homeless people together could potentially produce. And I'll tell you, one of the things, maybe the thing I'm most qualified to talk to you guys about is a holistic view of crime in our criminal justice system. I've been an attorney for about 16 years. I've spent about half of that as a prosecutor. I've spent about half of that in private practice, largely in criminal defense. There are three things that are strongly associated with crime that Arbor Ridge addresses. One of them, obviously, is the homelessness. 2, you have the mental health, and 3, you've got substance abuse. Substance abuse may be the biggest one, and the fact that Arbor Ridge is located so closely to Barnwell Mental Health and the Aiken Center is the perfect place to put this. Our magistrate judges believe in Aiken Barnwell Mental Health. Our magistrate judges believe in the Aiken Center. Our circuit court judges believe in Aiken Barnwell Mental Health and in the Aiken Center. Those two places are doing God's work. I mentioned substance abuse being one of, if not the largest contributor to crime. And there's a large association with substance abuse in the homeless population. There have been studies that estimate roughly 85 to 90% of all crime has some level of substance abuse related to it. Mental health issues, people self-medicate to escape the realities that they're living in every day. We can provide them a new reality. We can provide them the mental health counseling. We can provide them with the substance abuse counseling. I was glad to hear that there are going to be rules, that there are going to be criteria to make it in and to stay in. The people that are working with Arbor Ridge and the facilities around Arbor Ridge, I've seen personally change lives from the prosecution side and from the defense side. I've seen them save lives. I've seen them turn around lives. I've seen them break a generation after generation after generation of hopelessness, helplessness, worthlessness, addiction, homelessness, you name it. It ends in crime. And what I found to be very interesting in talking to the people at Macon Aiken and listening to the people at Macon Aiken was the belief that this concentration of people who need help is going to bring a greater level of crime. And I couldn't believe anything further from the truth. We reduce homelessness, we reduce crime, we reduce mental health issues. This is a big problem and it'll take a big effort, but these require public funds. Please let the private sector money with public oversight have a chance to prove that a much larger project is worth pursuing. As I said, I live 5 minutes from this area. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and I strongly urge you to pass this resolution. Thank you.
Good evening, April.
I'm also short. Madam Mayor, City Council. I'm April Tiller. I live in Charlie Run at 759 Groveberry Court. Me and my husband and one of our children recently retired from the Salvation Army here in Aiken, as you know, and we bought a home, a hop, skip, and a slide around 2 roundabouts in Charlie Run. So here's where I'm at. I'm going to tell you all something very quickly. And there's probably a handful of people in this room who know this about me. So here goes. When I was 18 years old, I was aged out of foster care. I was put into a group home where I felt unsafe, unheard, and scared. So I ran away. I met my first husband shortly after that. About a year into our marriage, I became pregnant. Wasn't his idea of a good time, so he threw me out on the street. The town that I lived in didn't have a shelter. It didn't have a transitional home. It didn't have anywhere for me to go. So I found myself at 4 months pregnant with nothing. No car, no family, and just a couple of friends who didn't have a place for me to live because they were still in high school. And their parents wouldn't let me live there. So I stayed behind the Kroger in the woods for the next 5 months, where my stomach became enlarged, looking for work. But people wouldn't hire somebody who was pregnant, obviously no shower. They also wouldn't hire somebody who didn't have an address. I had an ID, but that didn't get me a job. I was what they considered high risk for a job like that, any job working. I would have taken out trash. I would have swept and mopped the floors. I would have done anything just to have something so I could bring this child into the world. The day that I had her at the hospital asked me for where I was going, my address. I had to lie. Because if you don't have somewhere to go, they'll take your child. So I lied and gave them an address. That was my home. No, it wasn't. Because I lived behind a dumpster behind our local grocery store, literally 3 miles up the road. 3 weeks into my new motherhood and breastfeeding a child, I was eating out of that dumpster because I couldn't just go out and find food and beg like I used to. It was one early morning where it was raining, and Mackenzie, my oldest child, was crying and coughing, and I just couldn't get her to go to sleep. I couldn't get her to stop. I didn't know what was wrong. I had never had a mom, And I didn't have a child prior, so I didn't know what was going on. And this man, who was a fisherman, he would take his daily catches early morning into there, and then he would come and get rid of what they didn't buy. And he was throwing it into the dumpster, and he checked back behind there because he heard this baby crying. It was he and his wife who put me in a tiny home on their property. And when I say tiny, I mean tiny. There was a toilet, a little sink shower, a little cot, and warmers for a stove. And that's what he used when he would come in from fishing, just to kind of tidy up before he went into his restaurant. It was in that tiny home that I was able to shower my child. And his wife stood beside me and taught me what croup was. And she helped me nurse my child back to health. They gave me a job. They gave me opportunity. I'll fast forward time to several years later. I became a business owner. I owned my own business for 12 years very successfully in Virginia Beach. I met the Salvation Army. I sold off my home, 6.5 acres with a private lake portion, beautiful, my Mercedes, my BMW. And I went into the Salvation Army. I served there as an officer for 12 years. I served in this community for 6 of those years. I have heard story after story after story of individuals just like mine. They just fell on hard times, and that they just had that one place that they could just get the help they needed. I will tell you, being in this community for 6 years, my situation doesn't fit with any of the programs that are currently operating here, including the Salvation Army. See, I wouldn't have been able to get a job in 15 days to stay there because I was high-risk pregnancy. I would have had to move out of the town that I had friends, at least. I had some whereabouts of knowing what's there. I would have had to move from there. People have to move from
Thank you,
here.
April.
So I just want you to say, I'm in favor for this.
Thank you.
She has a stake in his face. She's going to speak now, okay?
Thank you, Paul.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Pat Logie. I know you've all seen my emails. I live on Logie Drive. I'm probably the oldest resident in that community. No, I am the oldest resident in that community. I've been there almost 50 years. My husband and I objected when they built the Aiken Center and the mental health place. But we did not know at the time about the land having to be joining the city property. Had we known that, we would have fought harder, but that's another story for another day. We hear a lot tonight about compassion. How about compassion for the people that have worked hard all their life to accumulate a small home, a modest home, to be sure, very modest. It's all we have. And you put this tiny home project in it, and you will devalue our property immensely. I have a grandchild living in my home. She will be exposed to this tiny home. There is children up and down Dykes Road that have to catch the bus every day, steps away from where this project will be. I mean, steps away. It is not a good place for this project, in my opinion. But I feel like the Homeless Coalition got a head start on the neighbors because they've been working on this for 4 or 5 years. We've only known about it since the first of the year. We don't have the resources that they have to put our objections out there to let people know how we feel. This is an unpleasant thing to talk about, but it happened to me, and it can happen to any of them. One night, just as I was coming home at dark, I pulled in my driveway, and there was a naked, homeless man standing in the middle of my driveway. Had my son, who was my caretaker, not been there, I don't know what would have happened. But we have a few homeless people in the woods now. The Homeless Coalition is wanting to put 60 more on top of the handful that we already have. The density of that many people on 4 acres of land will not work. I don't think 60 people who love each other could live on 4 acres of land, let alone 60 people with mental illness and addiction problems. I am strongly opposed to this project. I just think it's bad for our neighborhood. I think it's bad for the city. I just do not see it working. I think it's going to be a constant drain on resources because you put homeless people into these tiny homes, they will destroy what they have. That's been proven by research. They will tear sinks off the wall, put aluminum foil in microwaves. Somebody will be constantly having to go and unclog the toilet seats. That's just the facts that I don't think the Homeless Coalition is taking into consideration. As I said, I'm strongly opposed to it, and I certainly hope you'll vote it down. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Loki. Good evening.
My name is Charles Matthews, and I reside at 120 Rolling Rock Road. To the mayor, to councilmen, councilwomen, I applaud the lady who just came up and gave her testimony because I too have a similar testimony. I was born and reared here in Aiken, but I was on a path. I could never say I was homeless, but I was on a path to be homeless. And to some that can remember, my path was at many times at Sheriff Grand Hotel, that right there on Hampton Avenue, because I had a problem with drugs, because I had a problem with not listening. But the real issue here is I had people that believed in me. I had folks that looked at me and saw something different. And so what came out of my life because somebody believed in me, I now have a foundation that we help homeless children in the Aiken County school system. And it's just a band-aid. But my dream is to be even more successful in that goal. And I believe my faith is going to take us there. The other part of that is I've worked with Lex, I've worked with Mark. So it's a lot of noise here tonight, and I understand it, I really do. But at the same time, I validate each person's emotions. But to the naysayers, what I would ask them to do, if they really want to see a change, they say, we need to think big. Each and every time we're at Christ Center and other places trying to help the homeless, then come out. Show your support in that area. You can do something. The other part of that is this, though. I hear what's going on in the community down there. If we don't do anything, then what's going to happen? We have an opportunity now to do something, and it may be small in our minds now, but I believe with the faith that I have and some of the faith workers that we're working with, It'll put us on the map. Aiken is doing the best thing for its citizens. Yes, we look at individuals differently because of zip codes, financial status, and everything of that nature. But it doesn't matter to the God that we serve. We have an opportunity to address a situation that is hurting people. And if we don't do anything about it, then we are failing our Creator. I've heard a lot of negative about it, this concern. I've heard a lot of compliments about it. But the other part is this, though. I've always been told, if you had to choose between two evils, if this is an evil, then choose the one you've never done before. We have never done anything like this in Aiken. This is an opportunity now for us to do something for folks that may not have the opportunities that we have. Yes, I believe when we put them in these transition homes, we'll be helping folks to become productive citizens. And I'm not bragging because some of y'all have helped me. I now own my own business. I've worked at the Savannah River site for 31 years. I have rental properties, but I was on a path that was destructive. But it was folks like you all that saw something in me. So let's make the right decision for the people. Amen.
Thank you. Lady in the back row. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and the council members. My name is Kimberly Tony, and I reside at 623 Edgery Street. I'd like to look at the new business one. It's an ordinance to amend the zoning of real estate located at Dykes Road from office to transitional tiny home and approve the proposed concept plan. We've heard a lot of emotions. We heard a lot of compassion. We've heard a lot of statements that are very tugging at the heart. I would like to just stick to just the facts. And that is, and go back to the mission that is located on the City of Aiken government website. Government and citizens working together to preserve and to continue to improve the quality of life in the City of Aiken, making it the best place, the best possible place to live. It doesn't say for a certain amount of people. It doesn't say that you had to have a home or don't have a home. And it doesn't say on what side of town you had to be on. This is an issue that is not ongoing. And if we don't know what our situation is in our country, we're going to see homelessness increase and increase and increase. We can't take this and do it like a tennis match and bounce it from the north side to the south side, east side to the west side. It doesn't, and I know everyone has feelings about it. It can't be in my neighborhood. It can't be in my location. It is going to affect everyone. Everyone has some type of stake into it. But I think let the process play itself out. The Planning Commission has already approved it. The Planning Commission put stipulations on it, more than 5 stipulations. Let the process play its course. The City of Aiken government is an excellent government that has all different types of departments. If there is a safety issue, our public safety department, let that play its part out. Let each individual department do its job as it's supposed to and fulfill your mission as in coming together as government and city to make sure that this place will be every place possible for everyone. If not, we're going to continue to compound, and we're going to end up having, I know the lady said 250 children right now. By the time the end of the school year, it's going to be more than 360 children that are homeless, and that means just children that's in the school system. That does not include their parents. So we want to make sure that we're doing something. And it may seem like 39 houses But we have to start somewhere and become a model city, as we always have been in other things. So I ask that the City of Aiken City Council, that you all at least act and do something now. If it's not this development, someone else is going to come back and ask for something else somewhere else. So let's start with this now. The proposed development has already outlined and done everything. They've done more than that since April. They had a public hearing. They've met every guideline, and they're continuing to meet everything that you've asked for. So just approve the motion and just ask them to abide by what you've asked for the 5 things that the Planning Commission has outlined. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. I'm Paul Dennis, live at 3437 Banksmith Road. If you don't know, that's my mother-in-law right there. Everything you've heard tonight, positive, affects nobody in this room. Nobody. Nobody lives in that area. They have no stake in the community of that area. All they know is it's not my area. It's not my house. It's not Woodside. It's not Jim Lakes. It's not Westcliff. It's these people's, her community. And you're going to devalue property. It's going to happen. You hear statistics tonight, and I can go and you need to research it also. You can contradict any of these statistics you hear. The ATM. I was there at St. John's. Some of y'all were there too. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. They've already backtracked. We're going to have 24-hour security guards. That's what he said. He backtracked on that. He died on that before he left the building when I talked to him that evening. Is any of this stuff in the bylaws, in writing, or is this, we're going to do this if we have the funds? What is it? You know, I don't know. This ATM group, is this a new group? Are they professional management team of places like this? Of anything? I don't know. Are they? And then the vote you're going to have to do tonight, you're going to have to vote on citizens of the community against them or for them. I know they're county, but it's still citizens of this community. Instead of voting on who you're going to give it to, taxpayers or somebody else. That's it. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Right here. You're next. Afterward.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm Cynthia Criley, and I live at 68 Juniper Loop. And my major concern is I believe that the homeless do need help, but I don't think this is the answer. And I'm looking at it practically. There are already programs out there, and a number of them have been mentioned here tonight. Bridge House, the one that McCallum, I think is her name, great success story. That's a program that's already in existence. We do have programs for the alcohol abuse, drug abuse, mental illness. There are programs out there. They're all existing. We also have public housing. That's shelter for people. Why can't we use that as well? I kind of didn't quite understand Kevin Pethis, sorry if I mispronounced your name, when he mentioned that some people lost their housing because they couldn't make the rent. I feel for them, but I'm trying to understand how the tiny house in 2 years that they're going to be able to make a house payment or make their rent for their house. How is that going to happen in 2 years? I don't know how that happens. Also, I don't know how the tiny homes is going to sustain their existence. They have plans, to raise money to construct it, but what are their plans in 2 years, 5 years, 10, 20 years? Who's going to pay the taxes? Who's going to pay for the maintenance of the roads, the houses, new roofs? Who's going to take care of the community room, the maintenance there? Who's going to take care of the maintenance on the inside of the tiny homes? Painting, refrigerator replacement, you know, if things wear out. Who's going to take care of all of that? There's a lot of unanswered funding questions that scare me. And I'd hate to see this project get going and then fall on its face. That would be such a black eye for the community that it would bother me. It would very much bother me because I love Aiken. I enjoy it. The management team, the ATM, they have a great mission statement, but I'd like to see their execution plan. Their mission statement covers everything, but I want to see the execution plan because that's where the rubber meets the road. Bottom line is, I don't think we need another program, and I don't think we're ready, even if this is a new program that you feel we need, I don't think we're ready for it. We don't have all our T's crossed, I's dotted. Too many unanswered questions for me. Thank you for letting me present my comments to you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Where'd that lady go? Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council and neighbors. My name is Michael Schwertfeger. I live at 1733 Dibble Road. I'm a recent migrant here to South Carolina, moved here about 5.5 years ago, love the community, and I really appreciate the chance to speak. Look, I know, I've heard it tonight, there's a lot of good people on both sides of this issue. Some of my friends are in support of this project because they care and they want to do something, and I share their concern. But based on my personal experiences and some research I've done into what happened with some of these tiny home developments elsewhere in the country, I just don't believe this is going to be a successful project. I think the risks of the Arbor Ridge project far outweigh the potential benefits. Before moving here, as I mentioned, I came from California. We lived in a kind of a quiet beach community. We had a small homeless population, but at the time it was really manageable and that was fine. But all of a sudden there were several churches and other facilities that started providing services to the homeless. The intentions were good, but the results were painful. Word started spreading to other parts of Los Angeles County, and people came from all over to take advantage of the services. Almost overnight, things changed. I had to protect my daughter from an obviously mentally ill homeless person. My own home was broken into while I was there by a drug-addled teenager. When I started talking to the police, they told me because of the services, because of the influx of people around this, they just couldn't keep up, and crime went up. What was meant to be a help ended up as a big problem. These kind of statistics show up everywhere. I mean, you may not be aware of this, but California has, since 2019, has spent $24 billion on homelessness. In the meantime, they've increased the number of homeless by 30,000. These tiny home villages, they sound great at first, but they just haven't delivered results. I've got a study here, and I don't know if I can leave it with you, but it was a great article that did a deep dive into about 12 of these tiny home communities in Los Angeles area. The results were sobering. Way fewer than a quarter of people ultimately transitioned into non-homelessness. The vast majority just returned to homelessness at the end of the project. And these were bare bones projects, by the way. The nonprofits running these villages, and again, there were a dozen of them, so this is a bigger scale. They spent $38 million in the fiscal year 22-23 this wasn't the construction cost. This was the annual budget of these 12 villages. So they provided wraparound services. They had rules for who got to be part of the community. The other part that happened, and my friend he lives here in Aiken as well, and he would have been here tonight, but he's working. He's an LA City paramedic, so he responds to these sorts of communities on a regular basis. And what he says is they frankly his word was nuclear war zone. And what happens to them, even though you put restrictions on who can come into the property, it tends to become a magnet for other homeless and other drug addicts and mentally ill people, and they end up. Several of these have tent cities around the tiny communities. So it just isn't. So the intentions are good, but the outcomes just don't work. So why should we now try to put in a similar project? putting in 40 homes, that's going to put in 40 to 60 people, many who are going to be dealing with psychiatric issues or alcohol or drug challenges. My concern is that instead of solving homelessness, what we're going to do is the same thing that I've seen elsewhere, which is we're going to try, as a community, we're going to try really hard and end up with problems we can't contain. So the problem here was sometimes, and most of the time, is these kind of projects tend to concentrate homelessness. That's very different than solving homelessness. So we really shouldn't be in a position where we're betting the safety of our community on the assumption that somehow Aiken is going to do a better job building one of these tiny home communities than everybody else in the country who's done it and failed. I don't know why we would have any particular set of skill that would make it better. One comment I heard tonight that I was a little concerned about is, obviously, the proponents of the project are a little bit concerned as well, because I was kind of surprised to hear that we're going to need to surround this thing with wire, with cameras, with security guards. Boy, that tells me that they're worried that there's going to be problems. So I care deeply about the people that are struggling, but I also have to be clear-eyed about what's worked and what hasn't. And it's fairly obvious to me that this tiny home model hasn't worked. For that reason, I really respectfully ask you guys to vote no on this zoning ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're first, and then after. Yes, sir.
Hello. Good afternoon. I guess I'm one of the few business owners that I've heard come forward today, and yeah, I'm sorry. I'm Wayne Heath, owner and operator of Wayne Heath Automotive Company. We've been in business for 11 years now. The first year we were at 3841 Richland Avenue. After the first year, we felt pretty confident that we were kind of on our way. So we moved just right down the road a short bit to 3900 Richland Avenue. A lot bigger facility, a lot bigger opportunity, a lot more exposure to the community. Just to point out where we are, if you don't mind, just for everybody. We're right here. And, you know, my wife, she said, don't go tonight and don't speak. Don't give your opinion. You know, and 99% of the time, she is right. And I'm sure she's going to say she was right tonight as well. So I'm not going to necessarily take a position on this. I'm all for helping the homeless. Don't get me wrong. 3 years ago, as the homelessness grew in our area, and it was very apparent to me, I was seeing more and more and more, you know, setting my cameras off at night, bedding down, for lack of a better way of putting it, underneath my big showroom that I have at my facility, setting up underneath my stairway in the back that I had for a TNR section, that I needed to do something to help. So I put up 2 blessing boxes and allocated $500 a month that my wife said, I will be in charge of furnishing the goods if you'll provide the money. That's the way it's been for 38 years, believe me. And she does a wonderful job, believe me, of spending the money. But she did a great job with this. For $500 a month, we were able to keep the blessing boxes full. We had a person box and we had an animal box on both sides of the road. And we had a lot of people come and partake. And then we grew to where a lot of people started donating. And we were able to kind of scale that back a little bit with our participation. But what that led to, and I was all prepared to really kind of dive into, you know, the result of it. But I will kind of conclude with, we got a cancellation notice from our 11 years garage coverage company on August the 13th that they are canceling our garage coverage. We've had 4 stolen vehicles. Our building's been broke into for a few times. We you know, just our blessing box, the people box was tore down. The animal box, the door kind of on off, you know, at different times. You know, we have hoses being taken, nozzles being taken, you know, so just things we're dealing with. And my biggest fear as an owner of a business that I now have 11 years, you know, I'm involved for 11 full years that fully supports my family, is where we're going to go. You know, in the last 3 years, my business model has changed considerably. My traffic's down a little bit. You know, the quality of traffic has kind of changed a bit. And why? You know, best pre-owned dealer 3 of the last 5 years. People that do business with us want to do business with us. And I think we've got a good reputation in the community. We're community involved. We do a lot, again, for the people. We do a lot for animals. That's our business model. To me, it's not, don't advertise your product. It's a relationship that I want to build with the community. And I think we've done a wonderful job of doing that. So where I'll leave things with, I'm all for, you know, helping the homeless. I don't think we're at the right location of where it's being proposed that it needs to happen there. There's a lot of growth in that area with the businesses finally. And I think we need to let it grow and look at putting this location somewhere else.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for your time.
Thank you.
And I'll be able to tell my wife that I went right down the middle with
You
it.
did it. And in 5 minutes also.
Hello, my name's Michaela Burke. I live on 3832 Dykes Road. I have 2 girls, one on the way. My husband and me all live 4 houses down from where you guys are talking about putting this at. Since we've lived there for probably about 3 years now, we have had a homeless person walk up and look through my bathroom window. Our car has been broken into. I know 2 houses down, his house got broken into. Patty had a homeless man naked in her driveway. You guys talk about security around the facility, but what about the rest of the neighborhood? Are you guys going to be watching the road, watching Loki? Like, how does that work? How does funding work? I know we've talked about, you know, paying for building it and whatnot. I've seen the stuff online, but what about 2 years from now? Who's paying for security? As people have said, they usually don't have cars, so they're walking. There's no sidewalks. There's no way to walk up and down that road. We'll have 40 plus people walking up and down our street. I have kids. I don't like them having to worry about people walking up and down our street that we don't know. They have mental health issues, drug issues. Are we drug testing them? Are they testing them for alcohol? Am I going to have a heroin addict walking past my house all the time with my kids out back playing? I think it'd be a good idea to do this to help the community, but I don't think in a neighborhood is where it should be at. So I say vote no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carrie Chavis, and I actually live in Greenville. I'm a native of Aiken, graduated from Aiken High, and also graduated from USC Aiken. I came to Aiken for this meeting, and also to see my nieces and nephews. But so I just wanted to say that I've been a part of this kind of work for 25 years. My first job was at Helping Hands 100 years ago, and I've been doing this kind of work for the last 25 years. Right now, I have the privilege of being a part of a tiny home village in the upstate. And a lot of the fears that the folks have here, I don't see them. They've not been realized in the amount of time that I have been there at this facility. What I've seen are folks that are greatly benefiting from a tiny home village. There's the cameras and such are there for the protection of the residents in our facility, not for the folks that need to be protected on the outside. These are people that are highly vetted, and they have to be clean for 6 months, a year, whatever, have to have skills. Now, this is at our facility. I don't know how it will be here, but I just want to say that I have seen firsthand something like this be highly successful and see lives changed, children's lives changed, and these folks are able to sustain what they've learned at the agency that I work for. They've been able to sustain that for years to come. So I just want to encourage you guys. I don't know if it's going to be here, if it's going to be somewhere, but I'm believing in my heart of hearts that this is going to happen, and I want to move back to Aiken to be a part of it. So,
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes. And then you have.
Madam Mayor, City Council members, I'm Robert Cota. I live on 150 Loki Drive, which you've already heard about. I live there with my 85-year-old mother, my wife, and my 12-year-old daughter. And if this project gets approved, when I get up in the morning, I'm going to walk out on my front deck, and I'll be looking literally down into this community. I retired after 42 years in military service and government service. And I've seen projects like this that have been taken on, and people get vested in them. There's a lot of emotion. Once they start to get vested in it, and it just ends up being something where we just keep putting money because we're so vested in it. I concur with the gentleman that spoke about the research I've done. There's not a lot of success stories with these tiny home communities, specifically tiny home communities. I know there's a problem with the homeless, and I have empathy for them, but the success rate of these tiny home communities has not been good around the country. And I would really recommend the council and Madam Mayor, if you really are considering something like this, really go out to some of these other communities where they have these kind of facilities and get out and talk, not just with the proponents of them, but to the people in the community around them and see how that has affected them. The argument's been made that it will actually see less homeless because they now have a place to go. That's not the data that's being out there that I have been able to research and find out. And it tends to draw more individuals to these areas. And I'm afraid that once this community, if it gets approved and gets built, then our lifestyle, we're going to have a lot of more homeless people around us, not just in the community, but around us from other areas, because it does draw, and that's been shown from other communities around the country. So I really hope you consider that and really take a hard look at this, because I know it's an emotional subject, and we live on the outskirts of the city, and it's easy for other people that not live in our area to say, it's good for them, we'll put it there, we'll try it, and if it doesn't work, oh well. It's not going to affect them, it's going to affect us, because we're the ones who are right there. And I wish I'm on a stand opposed to it. And I think after my research with these, I would actually oppose to this kind of project anywhere in the city. The argument's been made about all the facilities there for them, but like it's been stated several times, there is no sidewalks, no street lights, no crosswalks, no pedestrian controls at all on any of them roads to the hospital, to the mental health facility, to the Aiken Center, to Walmart. And as was mentioned, 3 people in recent years have been killed crossing Richland Avenue there. And those people were homeless also. So And as I said, I stand opposed to this project, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Barbara.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. My name is Barbara Williams, and I'm at P.O. Box 3621, Aiken. I know it's been a long night, so I'm going to try to make this quick. And this is just me looking online. I'm hearing a lot of pros and cons, so I don't have a lot of research, but I can tell you what I quickly found that really kind of impressed me. And one of the questions was, do tiny homes really work as a solution for the homeless? And I'm just going to read fast if everybody can. Can you hear me in the back? Yes. Okay. It said, tiny home villages, if designed properly, are an affordable and effective way to add to the housing supply, providing residents with a community in which to advance their human flourishing as well as obtain shelter. Tiny homes will not work for every homeless person, but they do work. There are only 5 states in the nation that do not allow tiny homes, and I'm going to switch. That's New York, Wisconsin, North Dakota, Alaska, and West Virginia. In addition to this, most tiny homes in the nation have been built to last more than 30 to 50 years, depending on the material. And the other main thing that I saw just really quickly, and I think it's going to address some of the concerns. I'm trying to find that statement real quick. I apologize. But it basically says, creating community where residents have access to resources, personal development programs, and job opportunities in an on-site enterprise center can really make a tiny home village work. But all those things have to come together within the process. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes. You. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Terry Lee. My husband and I live at 4 Bel Air Terrace. We've been here in Aiken for almost 30 years, and I appreciate your time as well as your service this evening. I don't have years and years of experience by looking at Google or by researching sites that may give me the facts and the information that I want to hear to be able to prove my case tonight. I have painful days of watching my oldest son suffer from mental illness as well as substance abuse. Alcohol abuse because he was trying to self-medicate his mind from the mental illness that he had. He was a beautiful young man. He went to Aiken High. He went to USC Aiken. He was a scholar and an athlete and a college graduate. Not in my backyard is already in our backyard for every single one of us. And if we don't know that and realize that, we do not know our neighbors. And we need to get out of our homes and care for the individuals who are on our streets. My husband and I are aware of the pain that was in our home as well as on our streets. Not in our backyard, is in our backyard. We have fear, and there is much stigma, and there is much prejudice. How do we know that the individuals committing crimes are homeless or are addicts? We are making assumptions, and that is not right. It is because of fear and stigma. Our children are already in school with other children who are suffering from mental health challenges. Those are the basic statistics. 1 in 4 children, as well as teenagers, will have a diagnosable mental health challenge in any given year, as well as the adults in our community. Who is my neighbor? Who is your neighbor? My neighbor lives on Bel Air Terrace. My neighbor lives in Gem Lakes. My neighbor lives in Woodside. My neighbor lives on Dykes Road. I don't care what the address is. I have dedicated the last 7 years of my life, as well as my family, to care for individuals who are living with mental health challenges as well as addiction. I serve on the board of Aiken Barnwell Mental Health, and I have started a nonprofit as well as a mental health facility to care for the individuals who have mental health challenges as well as addiction. We opened our doors on October 22nd of 2024, less than a year ago. We already have 35 active members in this support facility. They are recovering. They are going back to school. They are completing their GED. They are going back to work. They are becoming productive parts of our community. Why? Because of Terry Lee? No. Because they find purpose, because they see purpose, because they enter a facility that is non-judgmental, that cares for them and loves them right where they are in that moment, and will walk with them until they get to the next spot. That is what these individuals need. This is going to be a vetted community, and we need to approve this project. How much longer must we wait? The suicide count in 2023 was 28. The suicide count in 2024 was 38. And if we continue on the same trajectory for 2025, we will surpass that suicide count again. It has been long enough. These individuals need hope. They need next steps, and they need someone that cares enough to make the right decision for our community. I believe that you are those people that can make that decision.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Gary McGuire, 844 Summer Lakes Drive. There have been so many passionate statements this evening on both sides. And it's very difficult for you, I know, to make a decision one way or another, no matter what you do. For some, it'll be the right decision, some it'll be the wrong. And I know the hour is getting late. So I would just say a couple of things, and I'll make a closing comment. As you know, I represent the developer, Aiken County Homeless Housing. And what we're asking after you evaluate everything is to give Arbor Ridge a chance. Let it see the light of day through this meeting, the next, and if there's a requirement, the next. Give the homeless in Aiken a chance that they can better themselves, their community, their family. Give Aiken a chance after all this time. And we talk about it would be great to have a big development somewhere out away from everybody where all the homeless people could be. That'd be wonderful. Nobody has the money for that. I'm sorry. We don't have the funds to do something like that. But we can start. We can start with 11 homes, which is phase 1, 5 large ones, 6 singles. It's important to know we're doing this in phases, 1, 2, and 3. And so we want to give Aiken a chance as a city to stand up for what's on our banners and our signs that we put on the street corners, to have words like courage, compassion, character, above all, character. And so no matter which way you're going to vote, you're going to have to consider everybody's opinion and then come to make your own decision. This is the city of Aiken. This is not the state of South Carolina. This is not the federal government. This is our city right here. You folks are the ones who will make the decision. And we just want a chance to try this for the people. This is not going to end homelessness. All the people on the railroad corridor, they're not going to go away because Arbor Ridge is there. Not in the least. And the people who are in the woods now and come up in your driveway, and the people that you have maybe a problem with now, they're still going to be there. We're simply, and somebody asked about the fence and stuff, we're not fencing them in. The security is more for the residents there than it is for the neighborhood. It will be lit. It will have a fence. We've said all that. We've been through public meetings. Everybody had the opportunity to express whether they were for it or against it and to ask questions. Now we're at the 11th hour, or for the first reading, here we are. There are a lot of objections. There are a lot of things being brought up that would have been probably good if we could have done it at some of the planning commission meetings, all the other meetings that we had that led up to this meeting here. And so you may vote one way or another, but if you are inclined as a group to vote against this evening, I would simply ask that at least let it go to second reading and we can address some things that have been brought up, some things that we didn't know before 20 minutes before this meeting. So, we thank you for your attention. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So when do you guys propose, if this gets passed, to break ground?
As you know, after this passes, there is another meeting to go to, another vote to have
2 weeks, okay.
by the legislation. Okay?
Oh, the delegation, the
For the
delegation.
delegation, yeah.
Okay.
Legislative delegation. And so, after final approval, when we get that, I would anticipate that we would start very soon to do the site work and do the construction on it. And it would probably be a year or probably 12 to 15 months for phase one.
So funding secured for this project?
The funding it's not, to my knowledge, is not part of what we're talking about tonight, but we do. It's not part of the application that we made.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Over there. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Pardon my throat this evening. My name is Barry Brooks, and I live at 8 Inverness Street East in Hounds Lake. And I'm here to say that as a resident in Aiken, I love Aiken. I love Aiken because of the people that live in this town. And I want to address the concerns of the other residents that maybe they feel they may be impacted by this project. I truly understand their feelings and their anxieties. 2 years ago, the house next door to mine, ours, sold, and I went to meet the new neighbors. That home is a transition home. There are 8 women that live in that home, 9 at times. When I learned that it was a transition home and what the individuals that would be living there, I was just concerned. A certain level of anxiety. I wasn't sure. I met Terry Reilly, who's the man that manages the Oxford houses in the Aiken area. And for those of you who are unaware, Oxford houses have about 7 or 8 currently in the city of Aiken, and they're transition homes. In the 2 years that they've been next door, with the anxiety that I've had, we have had no problems. None, zero, nada. They mow their lawns. They trim their hedges. They put their garbage out right on time. We don't have a lot of unnecessary traffic on our street going next door. Don't have it. They're all good people. She is a fine example. Tina was my neighbor. That's how I met her. Oxford houses are done right. They pre-qualify the people. Every house has its rules. The rules are followed. You don't follow the rules, you're gone. I've had the privilege of going to several of their other homes and the communities they're in. South Meadows, as examples, there's a couple. No problems. Their lawns are well kept. Again, they make great neighbors. So all the anxieties that I had were for naught. I'm grateful for having them as neighbors. They get together, there's 9 of them. They may have a couple people over, and so you might consider, well, they don't get rowdy. We have neighbors behind us that have a pool that are louder than they are. I love Aiken because of the people. And with all due respect, Aiken ain't California.
Thank you for waving your hand. I'm getting double vision.
Thank you. My name is Roxana Sark, and I live in 2218 Trail Point, Aiken. So I'm familiar with, a lot of this. I was chair of the Aiken County Homeless Coalition for about 5 years, and along with some of the members sitting here, founding members of the coalition. So we had been in the community, and we have seen firsthand what a group of people that come together can do to benefit the community. My husband and I moved to Aiken about 20 years ago, and when we were looking for where to move to, we looked at the crime rate. And obviously, they don't post the true crime rate when we move here. So we decided we're just gonna come here. And then I started working for the some other agencies where crime is our business. So I work for an agency at Aiken County, and that's what we do. We see crime and we defend those who commit crimes. But what I want to say is that if you go into the communities, I had been to the houses that they had mentioned. If you move along those neighborhoods where these houses are, where these people gather, you will know that they are everywhere. They are not just in this area. They're everywhere. So they're behind your woods. You just don't see them. So that's their homes. And they are very, that's their area. And they don't let you come in.
because that's their home. So, and I have children who live in Vegas, California, Portland, and I have seen the homeless population there. And there's no way that we can compare Aiken to that population. It's not the same. And we have an opportunity here. So if we think that, if we had the same thought that because we weren't in agreement with Aiken Barnwell Mental Health coming in because they were gonna have a lot of crazy people coming in, then that building wouldn't be there. If we said the same thing for Aiken Center because a lot of people with substance abuse problems were gonna come into the neighborhood, we wouldn't have that building there. The same thing with the Center for Disabilities. Barry mentioned that he has, next door, one of these homes for recovering drug addicts. Well, we have in our neighborhood a house for disabled individuals. How about if we were to say, no, we don't want disabled people in our neighborhood? This is what we're saying when we're negating the construction of something that's gonna help our neighbors, our people in this town who need help. And we can provide that help, and we have organizations that are willing to do it. So if you're not familiar with what's going on in your town, I suggest that you volunteer with some of these agencies that do it so that you can see firsthand what is happening. And these are not criminals. These are individuals who need help, and for one or other reason, they ended up in the streets. Some of these individuals are educated and they lost everything, and no one is tending a hand to them. So this is what we're trying to do here. And I hope that each one of you, if you haven't done so, if you can also go and volunteer to one of these agencies so that you can see who these people are and what is it that we're trying to do in building this tiny home and providing a home, a secure home, so that they can focus on other issues that they have to work on. You can't sleep on the street and then think about my education, think about a job. You can't do that. You have to focus on where am I gonna sleep tonight and what am I gonna eat. But if we provide a home, then we give them an opportunity to do better. And I thank you for listening, and I thank everyone who has given words tonight here. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, Council, I thank you for the opportunity to speak this moment. I appreciate your time and your diligence. We've heard a lot of right opinions tonight, but there's a righteous opinion that we must focus on. As I was coming here tonight, I came down Richland right at Newberry Street, and on my left, I happened to glance out of my left window, and I saw a mother trying to sleep on a park bench, and that next to her was a crib with a baby sitting in it. And I've seen that mother all over town. In front of my office on Hampton, often there's a young man who has some sort of injury in his neck. He carries all of his belongings in a grocery cart. The question begs to ask tonight is, if not now, when? If not us, who? And if not there, where? God requires us to give of ourselves for the good of others. We've heard a lot of opinions, and I understand them. I understand where everybody may be. We all have a right to our opinion. I heard one opinion about purpose, giving them purpose. We have a requirement to respond to a purpose, and it's His purpose, God's purpose. And we know we're living in a time that some of us may wake up tomorrow morning, no roof over our heads. Whose opinion do we depend on? So I think the question is, this is a judgmental moment that God is looking and seeing. And Aiken, your heart, our hearts have always been moving in the right direction. So I pray tonight, I'm not going to prolong the moment, many things I could say. But if not now, when will that mother have a home for her child? If not now, when will someone who has struggles in their life will get comfort and be able to take care of themselves? What is it asking of us to do this? What does it require of us? What's important? My value of my home, or the life of a soul? It's not just an item out in the park. It's a human being. So we just pray that, the human spirit will prevail, and let us show the heart of Aiken so we know how. I pray that you would vote for this project to continue. I thank you. I'm going to have to leave now, but thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Madam Chair and the council, and to the body that's here as well. I just wanted to comment, just say something this evening. My name is Wesley Guyton. My address is 1185 Willow Springs Drive in North Augusta, but I was raised right here in Aiken all my life, and I do pastor in Aiken area as well. A lot of my members live in Aiken also. But I just want to come forward this evening just to say something concerning the unhoused. I was just thinking about when Helene came through, and it hit us really bad in North Augusta. And we were without power for about 11 days before the power came back on. And we was in the dark, sleeping in the cook. We had to cook outside on the grill by charcoals, and we ordered some propane gas to cook outside as well. But I just thought about that. I said, well, hopefully with the rescue, the blind people and all of those, when they finish, I'll be able to get back in my house and have lights. I have running water. Then I thought about it, I said, what about those that out in the woods that Helene didn't have to strike, but they're there all the time? They don't have anywhere to go. They don't have a shelter, and they're just making it day by day. And I preached a sermon about that. David said that I've been young and I've been old, but I never seen the righteous forsaken or seed baking bread. And I always thought about that message because I thought that, these people, they're out there and how they make it. But I think in terms of that God cares about them also. Somehow or another, from day to day, they're able to get something. Somehow or another, God keeps them throughout the night. Somehow or another, they make it through the shelter of the storm, the rain, but they still survive. So I know that God cares about them as well. Why? Because they are living beings. They are humans, just like you and I here tonight. And I thought about something else while I was sitting there tonight. I said, wow, I thought about that. Out on Y Road, we got a shelter out there. And whenever there's a stray dog, a stray cat in the community, they're picked up and taken to that shelter. And they got somewhere to live at. And then they're put up for adoption for somebody to adopt them. But look at these people in the woods. Nobody picks them up. They ain't got nobody to adopt them. They ain't got no shelter to go through, but they make it the best way they can. And I said, wow, that's really something. And I know that we got some horse lovers in here tonight. I know we got some dog lovers in here tonight. I know we got some cat lovers in tonight. They love the animals, and they don't want nothing to happen to their animals. Why can't we feel that way about one another? Worry about your house value going down? Well, guess what? You're not guaranteed for tomorrow. We don't know what the stock market is going to do. We don't know what the value is going to be. I think sometimes we worry about the wrong stuff. But we ought to think about, how do I treat my neighbor? How do I treat my neighbor? Because my neighbor don't live next door to me. My neighbor could be somewhere far off, in the need, hungry, don't have a place to stay. That's my neighbor. And so I said this evening, I hope that you all will set your hearts that this is something that we can make a difference on. I realize that so much has been said tonight that, well, it's not big enough. Well, maybe not. But guess what? When everybody came through that door tonight, I didn't see nobody hop in. I didn't see somebody run in, but you took a step at a time. One step at a time. And I believe tonight, by approving this tiny home, that's just one step. Who's to know where it's going to happen after that one step? But first of all, to do anything, you got to make a step. So thank you all for listening tonight. I appreciate you all so very much. Thank you all for your hard work. May God bless you and have a blessed night.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Good evening. I had no intention of speaking tonight. Mayor Milner, City Council. My name's Miriam Jarvis. I live on Sumter Street, downtown Aiken. I don't have any great knowledge about this project. I don't work with the downtrodden the way so many people do who've spoken here tonight. But I do think I can speak from a position that no one else in this room can. I live next door to the Salvation Army shelter. I've lived there for 11 years. Many days I wake up and say, thank you, Lord. I'm in this house and not next door. Because it only takes a moment for everything to change. Do I know that this is the right project in the right place? I don't. I'm not that smart. But I challenge everybody in this room. I doubt anybody in here walked here tonight. I would bet every single person in this room drove a car here. I bet at least 90% of you would like a bathroom break. I know I would. When you drive home and you pull in your driveway, if you're not sure that we need housing, just spend the night in your car. Don't go in your house. When you have to go to the bathroom, just open the door, open the front door and the back door, and just step out between the two doors of your car. I hand out toilet paper. That's what I do. Because you can't stay in that shelter building all day long. You have to be out at 7 a.m. You can come back at dinner time. And people think they're going to make it. They think they're going to last until the door opens again, and they can't, and they knock on my door. Ma'am, I'm so sorry. Can I use your bathroom? Just think about that. So when you go home tonight and you really like to get inside to go to that bathroom, you just flip your seat back, lay back, try and take a nap in your car with that pressure on your bladder. And maybe that will give you an idea of whether we need to move forward
or it's not perfect, so we can do nothing. So I challenge you, spend another hour in your driveway in your car. Thank you. Good.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, Council, thank you. I as well had no intention of speaking tonight. I'm sorry, my name is Damian Blevins. I live at 113 Chalkbed Road, but I also own and operate a business on 1376 Whiskey Road. I've sat and I've listened, and that was basically the stance I wanted to take tonight. But as I've listened to everybody, and as I've watched all of you listen to everybody, there's one point that really hasn't been made that I feel needed to be spoken on, and that's we're talking about people. And the reality about people is you can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. And I don't believe that that's a facility for people who don't want to be helped. We've heard it's not a handout. It sounds like this is a place for people who are looking for a way to change. I drive into these. I live maybe a mile away from where they're talking about it. I don't live in the city, but I operate a business here. So I drive from there into this city every single day, and I take different routes. Sometimes I go the bypass. Sometimes I take Pine Log Road. Sometimes I travel through downtown. The one thing that is evident is that this problem is increasing. There are more homeless people. I currently was informed that we have a homeless person who is living in the dumpster of my business behind it. So this is a problem that is getting bigger within our community. And I've heard people tonight sit and speak and say, we need something bigger, we need something bigger. I agree, but I also agree that you have to start somewhere, and that something has to be done, and right now something's not being done. We do have facilities now, yes, that's true. But what hasn't been stated is that all of those facilities are at maximum capacity and that they can't afford to take anybody else in. So what are we doing that's bigger and better? I've worked with New Spring Church. I've served there on Saturdays. I work with Walking Tall Ministries in the Valley in Graniteville. It's a big problem there. It's a big problem in my backyard. But at the end of the day, there are people, and the people who want help, who are putting their hand out for help, we have a responsibility to help them. And that's all I wanted to say tonight. And I just say that, you know, as you drive into this city on the various routes that I do every single day, you know, this is our community. And there are two stances you can take. You can take and look at it and be like, oh, well, this isn't what Aiken's known for. We want to clean it up and get rid of it. Or do we want to be the place that gave them an opportunity and gave them a second chance? I've lived on both sides of it. This community helped me. They lifted me up. I've had stints of homelessness. I did a misdemeanor, small time in jail. But that was another thing I wanted to speak of, is the crime that needs to be considered. I know everybody thinks the homeless people do crime. While I was in jail, it was in the cold winter months, and one of the most alarming facts to me that I had no clue of is majority of the people that were in there purposely committed crimes so that they had a place to sleep and they had a hot meal. And so when we think about our community and we think about our crime, if we looked at the statistic during the winter months, at how many of these homeless people are simply committing crimes within our community so that they can go somewhere to be out of the cold, because that's what they told me when I was in. So, I mean, I was blessed to go back to my house, and I just, again, I've listened to everybody, and I just wanted to come up and say those words tonight. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Meg Morgan Adams, and I'm here to enthusiastically voice my support for this project and encourage you to do the same. I've worked as a paralegal for the last 20 years and have been honored to have spent the last 3.5 years working at Austin and Pethick Law Firm with this guy right here. I've also had the pleasure of working with the folks at Aiken County Homeless Housing and advancing their goals of helping our neighbors in need. Despite growing up with more privilege than a lot of others had, my own brother unfortunately became homeless multiple times in his adult life. He was not a criminal, he was not a drug addict, nor was he mentally ill. He simply struggled because the adults in his life let him down. We all loved him dearly, but did not know exactly what to do or how to help him get the resources he needed. He luckily got a hand up through the help of his community because someone gave him a hand up, not a handout. No one gave him anything for free, nor did the government step in to help him. It was through the kindness of strangers and a community organization that took him in, taught him a trade, provided him with transitional housing, and made him feel loved and restored his dignity. He's now an engineering professor at LSU. To the gentleman who provided us with some statistics on how homeless housing projects have or have not worked in California, there is nothing that a Southerner hates more than to be compared to California. Maybe certain housing models haven't worked so well out west, maybe they have, but we tend to do things differently here in the South. The tiny home communities in Savannah, Georgia and Greenville, South Carolina are perfect examples of how these projects can be done right. So I encourage you to revise your Google search terms and read about the numerous successful tiny home projects around the country. While I understand the concerns of nearby property owners, a homeless community will not suddenly drop the property values of nearby homes because the homeless community is already there. What Arbor Ridge will do is help reduce the homeless community in this area, not bring in more. Homeless does not mean jobless. Homeless does not mean drug addict. Homeless does not mean lazy. Homeless does not mean criminal. And homeless does not mean crazy. Homeless means you are a neighbor in need, and helping those neighbors in need is exactly what Arbor Ridge will do. I agree with some of the comments made tonight that we can do better, but the problem is we aren't doing much at all. So the folks at Aiken County Homeless Housing have taken action to do just that. And while their plan has yet to be perfected, approval of this zoning amendment is just one step in their plan to do better and to help our neighbors in need, and I urge you to do the same. I know you feel a lot of political pressure from the delegation to vote this project down, since the legislative delegation now has to vote for it after you decide. But this decision is a local decision that is supposed to be in your hands, not in the hands of our legislators. My hope is that tonight you will show the courage it takes to vote in favor of this project 7-0 and send the legislators a message of what our community truly needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Beverly Collins. I live at 2 Spyglass Drive. I knew Pat Lokey years and years ago when she was working downtown. She was part of the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill. She's a very compassionate woman. We have heard about what neighborhoods need. Her neighborhood has told you what they need. They need sidewalks now for the people who are homeless already walking that area. That area needs to have the roads looked at. I'm not sure all those areas where the roads meet are really safe. I'm looking at the curves. How well can you see around there? As it has been said to you before, this is not one and done decision. Please follow up with what is not already in that neighborhood to make it a good neighborhood and provide it, because you're going to have there is a need now, and I do hope that this project is done, and it is done well, so that the people who are already there feel the benefit of this community. And it's up to you to follow through. Not only was Pat an active member in the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill, but Ola Hitt, whose White House was just a block from here. She took in veterans for a good reason, a good personal reason, that she served with me. They lived in her house. She drove them to and from the VA to be sure that they got their medicine. The two of them were good friends that I got to see with the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill. We need more organizations to support the families of the mentally ill. And I really think that is evident here with all the things that you have heard. So please support the neighborhood that's there already, as well as the needs of the whole community. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Beverly.
Anyone else? Okay. Comments from council?
Madam Mayor, if I may, I kept notes. Can you hear me okay? I kept notes. If you'll bear with me so that I can see if I can make sense of them, because it was a long meeting. We heard a scripture earlier. I thought of a scripture as we were sitting here that be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry or hurt people. And I think we've done that tonight. And I thank you for that, because I was at a meeting on August 4th, and that meeting was more aggressive. And the tone that was given, that was, if you didn't come to this meeting tonight in favor of this, then you really weren't a good Christian, and you didn't love God, and that you didn't care about homeless people. And I'm sorry. That's not true. That's just not true. And you know, long-term relationships with fellow community members and Christians are more important than a single debate. We're going to get through the debate at some point, but we have to remember that. One thing that's clear is we need more permanent, affordable housing. Council's been working on that. It doesn't happen overnight, but we're working on it. And addressing homelessness in our community is a really important priority. Careful consideration of associated challenges is crucial for ensuring such initiatives are effective, sustainable, and equitable for all parties involved, not just the homeless people, but the people that are going to be affected in their communities. We have to keep all of that in our mind. Being in favor of helping our neighbors experiencing homelessness does not mean that we support any and every proposal that's brought before us. It means, again, finding the most effective and sustainable solutions. The decision should be based on what is best for the entire community and the people trying to help. All the facts, not just emotional appeals, should be considered when we're making these decisions. Instead of allowing this issue to divide us, let everyone who cares work together without accusations or shaming. Let's work on a plan that's financially responsible, comprehensive, and offers a pathway to success. I'll tell you what, building a tiny home is the easy part. It's the management of those places. Just like the lady that lives in Hounds Lake, like the other lady that spoke. The management there was great. This is where success or failure happens. It's not just a component of success, it is the framework that holds the entire effort together. My concern is the management team with this group has been newly formed just this year, 2025. My concern is that neither the builder, developer, or ATM, the management team, have demonstrated the experience or expertise in managing transitional housing or the case management necessary. As I understand it, this is their first try. They're kind of learning as they go, they said at the last meeting. I'm not sure I'm willing to risk learning as you go. I want to know that they have a definite plan and they've made this plan and this decision and that decision. That's what we have to do, because we affect people's lives every day. And this will affect the homeless people's lives and the neighbors' lives. Salvation Army was mentioned tonight. I don't know if any of you, they are in the midst of a study, a mission planning survey and needs assessment. I was interviewed for that. Many of us were. And that's to be done in October. And it's going to assess what is needed in Aiken and which is the most efficacious way to move forward. And I want to see that. I want to hear that. And that's supposed to be, I believe, the first part of October, if I remember correctly. So saying all that, I didn't mean to go on, but these are just thoughts that, as all of you were talking and as I was praying about this before I came tonight, that came to me. I don't think I can vote for this tonight because of the concerns that I mentioned to you. That doesn't mean that I don't want to see something done for the homeless. Far from it. I want to see something that's really guaranteed to work. I know there's no guarantees in life, but the more you button it up and make sure your management group knows what they're doing, the better the chances of success. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anyone else would like to say something?
Some coughing, and I didn't want to spread whatever was there from grandchildren to the rest of the council members. First of all, I want to thank all of you that are here, those that have left, for your comments that you've made. You exercise not only thoughtfulness, but integrity as well. I have probably dealt largely with the homeless and the conversation about the homeless with Gail Diggs on this council. Gail and I started probably before she became elected with meeting with groups in various areas. And Gail, you've been on city council for how long? 14 years. And we're still talking about the homeless and a place for them to go. So I don't know what you have, but I have the faith of a mustard seed. And I have seen that multiply. You can talk about plans, but I believe in the Heavenly Father's intervention with prayer. And let me just give a few examples, if you don't mind. And Kevin, I'm going to talk about you, and Reverend Matthews, I'm going to talk about you, and maybe one or two others in this room. Years ago, Kevin Pathy called me. I knew his dad. His dad was the president of the company that I worked for. I didn't know Kevin as well. Kevin said, Ms. Price, I need your help. I've been leading a discernment minister. You remember this, Kevin? and we have been in prayer for some time regarding what more can we do for our community. My church, he says, we give away, we give clothing, we give away food, all those small things to help the ministry within the community. But with our prayer, we don't believe that we're doing all that God has directed us to do. Yes, I'm going to preach a little bit to you that God has directed us to do. What can we do? What else can we do? I told Kevin that I'd like to talk with my minister and his minister coming together to talk about the plans, that we had some things that we would like them included with and to work with us. That conversation not only existed where we worked with mentoring young children at a school that needed help, but also we ended up with an exchange of pulpits as well, working together. That worked out very well, where Kevin and his father, again, who was the president of a company, ended up mentoring children that did not look anything like them. They brought them into their homes. They introduced them to things that they had never been exposed before. They didn't want any credit. They didn't do any boasting about it. They only knew that they could help these children, to the point where some of them, did you adopt one? Were adopted. That being said, we can talk about all the rules we want to, everything in place. My father doesn't work that way. I don't know what father you worship, but he doesn't work that way. I believe in taking some risks, but not without the power of conferring with him first. I'm going to talk about Charles Matthews, Reverend Matthews. Reverend Matthews came to work at Savannah Riverside. He started out in an entry-level job, did very well, moved up the hierarchy into a supervisor's job, but did an excellent job there. Later, he retired. He succeeded so well that they wanted him back after retired. But the other point about Reverend Matthews was that he was doing well with Savannah Riverside, but also managed to get another interest in his own business, exceeding very well in that business. And what did he do with that kind of influence in terms of God's help? He gave it back to others. He was constantly giving back. I remember very well, and I'll mention the name, Keith Wood. Keith Wood called me about a family of 8, a grandmother raising 8 children, holes in the floor, those kinds of things. He said, Leslie, do you know this person? And I said, no. And he told me about the issue she was having, that she needed a larger room, a larger house, because the conditions of that house, in addition to the fact that they had a door on this house, that it wasn't a door. It was blankets at the door. And those 8 children did not have any privacy of their own, a few of them teenagers. We started looking for a 4-bedroom house, couldn't find one, but we did find some, but they said, we don't want them, Leslie, in our neighborhood, these children. Contacted Charles Matthews because he had real estate. Charles told me he had a 4-bedroom house. He said, but I'm doing some work on this house. He got that ready for the first time in these children's history and the grandmother's history. They had their own bed. And some of these are teenagers that were sleeping with their younger siblings. What I'm saying, you all, is that you may want the world, but if your health fails you today, everything you have is of no value to you. It is the value of someone else. Not you, not me. I don't care who it is. It's not us. I don't know what we're waiting on, because we can't wait on tomorrow. Even this evening is not promised to you. I know there's a lot of politics in this game. You got to please some of these people. And you all, let me just say, in coming here, I was really torn. And as Kay said, you got to pray about these things. I didn't know what I wanted to do in terms of the calls I've been getting, the emails that I've been getting. What do I do? Do I do what is politically convenient? Or do I pray a little bit and do what my heart tells me? My heart told me here to listen to the comments, number one, and then make a decision. When I seconded that motion, it was only to get a second, because I wasn't sure if we had a second tonight. And to hear the voices in this room. I've heard your voices. I don't know where it will lead, whether it will even pass to a second reading. But I know that I have done what my heart tells me to do. And I'm sure that every council member here, the mayor included, will do what their heart will tell them to do. I can't make your decision for you. I may be penalized for that decision because I didn't agree with someone. And you know what, you all? That is okay, because I am moving on without a conscience. And I turn it back over to the rest of the council members.
Good evening. Thank you all for staying here until this late hour. Can't believe it's 5 minutes after 10. I came here tonight with mixed feelings. I really did. And it's so difficult to be in this position where you can't please all the people all the time. And it's almost like it's never a win-win in some opinions. But this is hard. This is very, very difficult. I've been on council for 14 years. I don't think I've ever gotten this many emails and phone calls and visits from people who have their own opinions as to why we should and we should not vote in favor of this project. And I can tell you, I have a passion for the homeless. When George came to us years ago and talked about tiny houses, I remember how excited I was to hear about it. And the biggest thing I worried about was location. And I know this location it's a neighborhood, or it's close to a neighborhood. And I've talked to so many people who say, yes, I don't want it in my backyard. We hear that all the time. I've thought about other places where it could possibly go. But then I also remember that the people don't have transportation. It's got to be somewhere that's in walking distance to restaurants and shopping centers and so many other things. Health facilities. I couldn't think of another place that would be accommodating. I also thought about impact on property values. I don't know what that will be. I don't know if any of us know the total impact on that. I believe in this project, 100% wholeheartedly support the project. I'm just still struggling with this location. And I know the ones of you that live in that neighborhood have gotten a bad taste in your mouth because you've already experienced having homeless people live close to you and some misbehaving. So that has turned you off. And yes, I understand when you say, yeah, I don't want them in my backyard. Do I think that they'll draw people from across the river? No, because Augusta's doing its own thing. I really don't. But what I hope is a project like this keeps the ones that's in the woods now out of the woods, because there's a neighborhood they can be in, surrounded by a fence and cameras to monitor them and all the movements. I consider myself a Christian. My father was a Church of Christ minister. I go to church faithfully. I participate. I pray all the time for everybody, not just for family. I wake up praying and I go to sleep praying. I have compassion for everyone. I've been told I had a good heart. I have a good heart. And every year in August, the first Monday in August, I host a Healthcare for the Homeless Day through my employer right here at Giles Park. I see them come into our health centers for health care. We don't turn them away. Some don't want you to know that they are homeless. I have a lady that come in every week, 1 day a week. She never talks. She has a backpack. Always some flip-flops that about to break on her. Always. And she goes in the bathroom across from my office. And she's in there about an hour. And I've been in there, and she's been in the handicap stall, so I didn't want to intrude on her privacy. But I still sat at my desk and sort of wait for her when she come out. She come out, different set of clothes. Her hair is still wet, because she's showered. She's changed clothes. She come out, she feels refreshed, and I asked her every time, is it anything that you need? Can I do something for you? Are you homeless? And she'll look back at me and say, no, I'm not homeless, but she is. And I found that to be a fact. We did something different on this council that we've never done before. When we decided last year, for the first time, we contributed money to the Salvation Army to help them expand their shelter. We actually gave them $400,000. And I'm proud of my colleagues for agreeing to that, because they all know how important it is, because we know we had to do something. So tonight, it's so hard for me to vote on this issue. But what I can do while I'm still trying to figure everything out and make sure that everything that you are proposing is going to work, I can vote to move it to another vote, which is 2 weeks from tonight.
No.
So I apologize for that long presentation. I'm just going to vote tonight to move it on to the next reading. I don't know how I'm going to vote the next reading, but I can tell you what I feel tonight. And tonight, I feel like it's the right thing to do. I may feel different 2 weeks from now, but I can tell you how I feel tonight. So I vote in support of this, to move it to the next reading. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor? May I, please? Thank you. Nobody said anything that I disagreed with the entire evening, and I appreciate everybody coming out. It was very heartfelt. Nobody's wrong. I think we all want the same thing. It's just how we get there. We have to figure out a way to navigate that. I want to give congratulations to Tina, because that's a superstar there, and she is an asset in our community. And what you do every day is heartfelt. Terry and Philip, I mean, if you guys don't know them, get to know them, get to know their story, get to know what they do for this community, and the tragedy that they experience and how they live that every day to help people. Margaret, I see you back there. I'm only speaking because I work in behavioral health. I see it every day: homelessness, mental health, substance use, every single day. We don't have enough resources. Margaret and I, we kill a conversation every time we meet. How are we gonna refer people to the right places? How are we gonna get them the help they need? Our phones ring off the hook. Andrea, I have this patient. Where are we gonna put them? This is their demographic. This is what they're experiencing. And man, we scrounge Margaret, Tamara, Aiken Environmental Mental Health, through people like Tina and Terry. And we try our darndest to place people. It's not rainbows and butterflies. And I feel like sometimes we say all the right things, and we all want to feel warm and fuzzy and everything in between. But some of it's ugly, and it's not easy. So with that said, we have to be realistic. My heart, I want to approve all this stuff, and I want to put everybody in a tiny home and give them all the resources that they need, because everyone deserves a chance. But I don't see a wholesome plan behind this project. Because at the end of the day, everybody needs a resource. We need social workers, we need case managers, we need clinicians, we need people that aren't gonna go home at 5 p.m. We work 24/7, 7 days a week. It's not a 9-to-5 gig. And sometimes we want to present it that way. So one thing I've spoken to Mr. Auclair about many moons ago, and when this topic gets brought up to me, the biggest thing I say, bring us a plan that is consistent, that is sustainable, that includes the components that truly will put people on the path to recovery. And I haven't seen it. What I've seen is ATM established in May. I don't see therapists, I don't see case managers, I don't see the beef that we need for this to succeed. We're only as good as our partners in Aiken. We truly have to work together for each of our organizations to succeed. Because the moment we think we could go fly off and do our own thing, I promise you, it's not gonna work. And we do, we work very hard together to try to help every individual in this community. Some of the stats that were thrown out, I'm a stats girl, so I was kind of having a little bit of angst. The truth of the matter is, and you guys can Google this, go into true, statistics, but almost 70% of homelessness is a result of mental illness and or substance use disorder or both co-occurring. So this project isn't easy. And one thing that jumped out at me is we kept focusing on scenarios that were easy. And I'm sure there are some, maybe the family that's about to lose housing, maybe they're 1 month away from it. It's terrible. That's not easy, but it's probably the easier case scenario. I also heard, well, if they don't pass a drug test or if they don't whatever, then we're going to put them out. That's the last thing I want to hear. These are addicts. It's going to take more than one time. So I don't feel that plan has been well thought out. So if we're going to promote statistics, let's please make sure that they're appropriate. And if this passes tonight, I'll bring some statistics, and I encourage you guys to bring them too. And let's be real about it. I'm a little concerned that out of all the partnerships that were listed, I work for 2 of them. I'm on boards of some of them, or have been, and we haven't been approached. So that's concerning to me. The hospital and Aurora are on that list. My CEO hasn't been approached. My director of clinical services hasn't been approached. And because I have expectations of this project, I haven't been approached once people heard what my expectations are, because our community deserves the best. So these tiny homes, if you do your research, yes, sustainability is the reason they fail. They're just not sustainable for various reasons. Terry, I'm going to point you out. Terry has an amazing proposal, an amazing branding behind the Clubhouse of Hope. Terry's been advocating at the State House. Terry has been advocating at the hospital, Aiken Barnwell Mental Health, the Aiken Center, every nonprofit. She's advocated to Tom. She's advocated to Charlie. She's gone to Rotary. She has beat the streets. And funding is hard. It is not easy. And I get asked for money all the time. And I'm a relationships girl, so I'm going to put you in front of the people I can. But funding is hard. I haven't seen this in this plan. I haven't seen that effort in this plan. So we zone, we approve this concept, this thing gets started, it fails, and now we have a piece of property that's zoned a certain way, and now the people affected are the neighbors. I'm not too worried about that. That's not my biggest concern, to be honest with you, because what many of you don't know is that there are transitional homes all over Aiken. Oxford House alone has 6 or 8, all nestled in various neighborhoods. So in some of the nicest neighborhoods, guys. So it works. But it has to be done correctly with a plan. Clinicians are key. I don't see a single clinician in here, and except for Terry. Where's that support? Where are the counselors? Where are the case managers? Where are the people that are going to sustain this? We can't even fund Meals on Wheels right now. We're struggling. So where's the plan? Everybody needs a good plan. We're expected to have a good plan. We're all going to go home to our beautiful homes. Whoever spoke about the bathroom situation. If this passes, we're going to feel good. We all are going to say that we all said the right things, and yes, we have to help society and humankind and all that stuff. 100%, we absolutely do. But right now, it's just a feel-good initiative. Give me the beef. Give me the substance. If it's done right, it won't mess up any neighborhood. I don't believe in project-based housing. I came from low-income housing. I don't believe in putting kids and families in a segregated area. It doesn't work. But this can work if it's done properly. So reach out to your partners, get the information, bring us the substance, and my take would be completely different. So I am not going to support this because I don't think the plan is full of substance. I don't think it's sustainable. And the pieces that will make this work, I haven't heard from. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to try to keep my part of this short. First of all, congratulations to all of you. We do this every so often where we have a huge crowd, and generally people are rude to each other. You guys are incredible. You were clapping for each other. I was watching it, and I appreciate that because just like Andre had pointed out, I agreed with just about everything, 100% along the way. It is hard. And Andre has made some good, everybody's made good points. I don't want to point out all those things, but you should be proud of yourselves for representing. You were articulate. The passion came across on both sides of those against and certainly for those for. And you were prepared, and I appreciate that because it doesn't always happen that way. From my perspective, I will tell you I know a little bit about values in real estate. I've been doing it for 40 years. I probably appraised every house on Dykes Road, and maybe Mrs. Loki's house. I don't remember all the houses I appraised, but I've done those. This is going to negatively affect the values of those homes in the short term if it's done exactly like this is. It just will happen. And I appreciate these are our neighbors, and we need to help them. And this is a really good idea. It's just not the best location in the world. And I come from this. I had a family member, and Andre has already pointed out the Lees. For me, there, by the grace of God, go I. I've had a family member be in a transitional home and come out on the positive end, and I thank God for that. I've dealt with this, and it's hard. That location that I've dealt with in particular didn't have residential houses next to it. Had a church next to it, which was great. It was perfect. Also had a creek beside it. There are different ways of doing this. The Aiken Center, and I too am concerned that Aiken Center was not more involved, that the mental health, both of those places are very important. They're going to have to be involved if this is going to work. You can't just say build it and they will come. They have to be involved, and Andre is absolutely right on that. Aiken Center has 17 acres. They're using 4 acres, maybe 3 acres, and there's another acre involved here to the side that may not be part of their land. But they've got 17 acres. The mental health has 16 acres. We don't have to put this right in the middle of this residential neighborhood. That's just not fair to those people, and it will negatively affect them because of the stigma, if nothing else. I think it can work. I like the idea of the whole thing. I would like to see more of the plan. I'm not going to get specifics into that, but I think it could work. It could work on a track and not have to be next to other people's houses and affect those poor people who have been there for, those houses have been there for 60, 65 years at least, maybe longer. It will affect them short term. Long term, maybe it turns out to be perfect, but we don't know that. Nobody can guarantee what it's going to do. Apparently, there's no guarantee in the funding. That's going to be a process in the whole thing. And then on the state level, we'll see what happens with all of this. I just can't support it right there. And it was suggested that maybe we can change this and come up with something different. Maybe we pass it tonight and go to a second reading and go through all of this again. I'd rather not have to do that, but if that's what it takes, I think this is worthwhile to go forward. But overall, I'm not going to vote for this plan in the end, to be next to these houses and subject those people. I've done this my whole life of looking at people's properties and telling them what's best for them. This is not best for those people who are already there. We can find somewhere where it doesn't affect this poor neighborhood. And I understand they want to be up here and go walking up and down Dykes Road. That's not acceptable. It doesn't have sidewalks. And somebody said, well, then you put in sidewalks. They're in the county. They're not part of the city. That becomes part of the issue. The county needs to be involved in all of this. It can't just be one thing and another. It has to be joint together, something that's positive for as many people as we could possibly make it. I'm sure the people on Dykes Road and Loki would say, well, we don't want it right there anywhere. Well, too bad. We might have to work that out in the overall scheme of things. But we definitely don't need them walking up and down the road. People are going to get run over again. They still to get to Walmart, which is why a lot of this is there. I have breakfast at least 2 or 3 times a month at Flippin' Egg on a Saturday, and I see the homeless people. And they're going across to Christ Central, and they're going to Walmart. And that's why we have the conglomeration around Walmart. It's there. It is in our backyard, as Terry pointed out. It's our neighbors. They're all our neighbors. But what's the best way to get this done so it's successful? And Andrea touched on it, as did the rest of us. It needs to change from this particular for me to vote for it.
Well,
Thank you.
I guess I'm the last guy.
I think so.
The best part is to make everybody happy because I'm going to end this. So we'll get finished. I also agree with what everyone said. My biggest issues with this are the location. I think it's poor location. And I don't see that this plan of how it's going to be financed get carried out, where the money's going to come from, how it's going to come from, how it's going to keep coming. I don't see a plan there at all. And so that bothers me too.
You can't.
It's on, isn't it? Is it not on? Hello? But yeah, we got to have a better plan here for this. So I'm going to vote against this thing, and I'm not going to keep dragging this out. I'm done.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if you don't mind making a quick comment here.
Yes.
This plan you all started out, the discussion started out with only 11 recommended units. Phase 1 with 11 units, and then it changed to the higher number that you're hearing now, but that's in phases. The location is what we've heard over and over. It's not the best location. I've received a number of comments about what it will do in terms of attracting students to our university if this is done. It's been on one side or another differing in terms of the impact it will have on not on properties, but our university. We have a new advanced manufacturing facilities that's on our campus right now at USC Aiken, and the growth is occurring on the north side. But we can't factor out what is happening with the homeless coalition. If you want to wait another 10 years, I don't know if I'll be around, and if you'll be around, we can wait another 10 years. It's much like you all, I'm going to say it honestly. Almost 10 years ago, I brought a pipe in to show the community what the infrastructure looked like. It was rust. And I said, if we don't make changes, this is what you're going to see occurring. And where are we now? Have any of you heard about brown water? Let's just continue to wait, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. I'm sorry. 3 in favor and 4 opposed. Thank you all. Should we take a break for 3 minutes? First reading and public hearing of an ordinance to amend the city budget for fiscal year 2025 to 2026. Mr. Beedenbow.
Thank you. This is an ordinance amending the budget of the city of Aiken for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30, 2026. We do have unspent funds carried forward from the budget that ended at the end of June. Our general fund had a surplus of $518,528. We Those amounts were down due to expenses derived from responding to Hurricane Helene. We have reported expenditures to FEMA for storm response of $5.191 million. We expect to get almost all this money back from FEMA in the state of South Carolina. As of September 3rd, we've been notified we're going to receive $76,848 of funds. We got notice today another $6,850.10 of reimbursements coming. We have 13 requests in, and again, this all categorized based on the type of elements of the response. Our largest response, of course, is debris collection. That is $3.8 million. So that is the large amount. One thing we were fortunate, we were able to pay as we go, but certainly that drained our reserves. So our water and sewer fund finished the year with a surplus of $1,359,000. Some of this is related to expenditures being under projections due in part to equipment that was not received yet but on order, or projects that were not completed. Our stormwater revenue exceeded expenses by $192,563. And our solid waste fund operated with a deficit of $97,788. Our service revenues exceeded budget by 1%, but our response to Hurricane Helene is what caused this deficit. Majority of it were both in the overtime that our employees accrued during response to the storm, as well as funds for equipment repair. As you can imagine, our yard debris, grapple, and related equipment got quite a large amount of use during Hurricane Helene. Again, that's part of that large request that I mentioned a moment ago. So again, once those monies come back in, we can replenish the reserves. This is a budget amendment to with carry forward funds for council's consideration at first reading.
Thank you. Is there a motion? Councilman Woltz, and a second.
I second.
Councilman Diggs. Councilwoman Diggs. Any comments from the public? No, not much. Comments from council? All those in favor?
So the vote will be 4-0 with Councilman Gerardo and Councilwoman Gregory and Councilwoman Price out of the room.
Thank you. They went home. We now move to petitions and requests. We have two items this evening, the first being approval of a resolution accepting a deed of dedication for water and sewer lines for public shopping center on Silver Bluff Road. Mr. Beeden.
Thank you. It is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a deed of dedication for Publix at the Village at Woodside. This is for that shopping center at the corner of Silver Bluff Road and Village Green Boulevard. This is for water and sanitary sewer only within necessary easements. These aren't the private lines into the store. This deed of dedication needs to be done in order for them to get their permit from the State Department of Environmental Services in order to begin operation. And this is before council this evening.
Thank you. Is there a motion for this, please?
I so move.
Councilwoman Diggs, a second from Councilman Woltz. Any comments from public? No. Comments from council? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Minus Councilwoman Price and Gregory. Finally, we have approval of a resolution to accept a deed of dedication for water and sanitary sewer lines and related equipment for Parker Aiken Apartments. Mr. Beeden.
Thank you. It is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a deed of dedication from Parker Aiken LLC. Similar, this is for water lines, sanitary sewer, and related equipment. This is the development off of Gregg Highway and University Lane, across Gregg Highway from the Aiken Center for Alcohol and Drug Abuse and the Aiken Barnwell Department of Mental Health. Again, this is also one similar where it needs this approval and acceptance. So their permit to operate and can begin, and it is before council this evening.
Thank you. Is there a motion for this?
So
Councilman
moved.
and-
Second.
and-
He didn't
and
say anything.
Councilman Woltz and Councilman Girardeau. Second. All those in favor? Unanimous minus the two ladies again. We now open the floor, which we do not have anyone here to speak. So we will move on to...
Chief, you want to say anything?
No, he does not. Are there any items?
Thank goodness.
Yes, I just want to announce right now, and I'll have this finalized Thursday, but we believe September 29th and 30th will have a location to be determined, public information drop-in sessions for the hotel. Designs that the architect has been working on, Garvin and Associates of Columbia. And I know there was a visit since the last meeting when we were made aware formally of a Paces Run. We've received multiple, we received one formal request to look at the apartments while our staff was there. Other tenants asked them to look at the apartments, and what we have done is they are finishing up repairs on one apartment, and I know Councilwoman Diggs, the mayor, and Councilwoman Price walked the property today with the property manager. So if you want to elaborate on what you saw, but I know that work is continuing for improvement for the apartments.
And we, and Sabina Craig was also with us today. And you know, what we saw confirmed what I thought in the first place, that the conditions were deplorable. And there are things in many of those apartments that really need attention, that they can no longer put a Band-Aid to it. But our code enforcement officers have done what they're supposed to do. They've gone in, they identified some issues, they documented and reported it. And they just hadn't been followed up by their people. So
And HUD.
right, and so we are thankful that our city code enforcement guys were out there doing their job the entire time. But we see that Paces Runs also dropped the ball on inspections. They used to have quarterly inspections. They hadn't had real inspections since COVID, right? At the COVID. And they changed managers, apartment managers, and the maintenance guy admitted that he can only do so much. And I think he's used to patching. But from what we saw today, they're gonna have to come in and do some major repairs to make those apartments livable, really.
And again, our code enforcement, they operate under certainly they can view from the roadside or public right-of-way, but in order to go inside a structure, they need to be invited in. They don't have the ability to just go in without being an invitation from the tenant.
Because they needed to know that she is a person. You too tired? Okay.
She's good.
She sleeps. Okay. But she identified her role today.
And that is all I have to report.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting? Councilman Woltz? And Councilman Gregory? Second. All those in favor? It's unanimous. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.